I met with your friend today. I told her she needs to get on the same program as you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I told
It's
her.
funny because I just got, you ain't recording yet. I just got through talking to a friend about, because she knows the friend. And I said, I check in on her and I be like, hey, what did you do last night? And then she like, I ain't doing nothing. I'm tired. And then I was like, she like, I'm gonna get it done when May come around. This back in April. When May come around, and then I said, recording in progress.
Keep going.
And then, when you keep talking like that, you're not gonna get anything done. And all I could say to myself is that see that verbiage is not the verbiage I want to use. So now I watch kind of what I say.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if no action comes behind it, then you just in la la land.
Just in la la land.
Yeah, I'm not trying
Yes.
to be in la la land. I'm trying to be all about action as much as I mean, I was for real when I told you that, like, when I show up for myself, I don't care how I'm tired. I want to probably cuss people out. I just say, hey, I gotta show up for myself, and then my future self will be happy about what I did. So
Period. Listen, that's the perfect way to start this. Because we're gonna get into it today. I'm excited about this presentation, so I'm curious to see what your responses are. But I love that, like, it really does come down to how do you talk to yourself, especially in moments like this, because it's June. It's easy to be like, I'm gonna take a break, thinking like I got the whole summer. And then before you know it, June turns into July, which turns into August. And now you're starting a whole new semester and you have nothing to show for summer, because you kept saying, I'm going to get to it, or you kept saying one day or in the future after this vacation, after I do this. But when you don't have a real plan, time just keeps going and going and going. So thank you. Before we get into this conversation about what the summer is going to look like, what is everyone's numbers? Those of you who are joining, we start off our calls with checking in with ourselves. How are you doing on this Thursday evening? How are you doing on your level of focus, openness, peace, and scholar basics? Focus is your ability to concentrate on one thing at a time. Openness is how receptive are you to some things I'm going to say today that's going, like one of my favorite creators say, deactivate your critical thinking. You're going to want to fight me. How open are you to that? Peace is how content are you? Meaning, I got peace in this moment. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And scholar basics is what we practice in the effort to take care of ourselves. So drinking our water. I'm drinking some water with some orange enhancer. I probably should find a different enhancer because it's a lot of dye. But listen, it's no sugar. It's a win. Sleeping or resting for 7 hours, journaling for 10 minutes, moving your body for 10 minutes, and writing a shitty paragraph. Because if you wrote a shitty paragraph a day, you know how much further along you would be in this process. So what are folks' numbers? Ashley, you got 5544. Come on, numbers. I'm gonna say I'm right there with you because today my brain has been working on overdrive, and now that it's 7, I'm getting a little tired. So who knows what might come out my mouth the closer we get to 9 o'clock, but it's gonna be a good time. I can guarantee you that. Um, okay, 4443. Listen, Raylan, who needs focus? You don't need focus right now. All you gotta do, I'm just glad you're here. Okay, you don't need to focus. Openness is good enough. The peace, we can listen. I'm hoping the peace does increase, and scholar basics be like that. It'd be like that. Okay, let me figure out. I got 50 million screens open. Here's what I want to know. As you are comfortable, put your responses in the chat. When will you graduate? We are not saying when I might graduate. No, we're going to decide when will you graduate? What is the month and the year that you will graduate? If you graduated already, all right. I didn't hit the button. If you have graduated, let me know when you graduated because that could be fun for you to celebrate. Number 2, is what are the three results that you will produce? I guess I should have said August 31st. I always forget which months have 30 days versus 31st, but whatever. By the end of August, what will you produce? What are the three results that you will produce? I want to know in those three results, what are the three things that you must do on a consistent basis in order to produce those results? Like just whatever comes to your mind, what are the three things that if you did them consistently would guarantee that you complete those three results? What are the obstacles that's going to make it hard? What are the things, what are the people, what are the environments that going to get in your way? And you notice I'm saying will. I'm not saying may. This is real life. Things going to come up. What's going to be your obstacles though? And what do you need in order to remove these obstacles or alleviate these obstacles? Because some of them you can't get rid of, because if you got people, I mean, we can get real dark, but I don't think you want to really get rid of them. I mean, I guess you could leave them too, but sometimes you can't leave them because they're little people who you brought into the world. And, you have values where you would want to keep them alive because you worked all these years so far to keep them alive. Right. So, but is there anything that you could do to help? Help with the obstacles. Raylan, I told you, I realize I'm hitting a wall of where I don't have much of a filter. But I want to know, what are y'all's responses, even if you are watching online? What are your responses? Is there something happening tonight? Like a show or something that I don't know about? TV thing, event outside. I know it's Pride Month, so maybe everybody outside. Who knows? But I want you to think of your answers. Because like I said, summer. And I'm defining summer as June, July, and August. I get people start this fall semester at different times, but usually August is like the tail end of the summer. So I just want to know in these next 3 months, especially, what is that going to look like for you? What do you need to make sure happens? How do you want to walk into the fall semester? I know Danielle is going to be moving. Okay, you did on May 16th. Classes built, onboarding done, moved in and nested in Georgia. Yeah, some future qual scholar planet. You know what? Come on, because people asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I just pay bills here. Okay. I don't know. I just show up to the thing. 3 things to guarantee it. Don't want to show up to Georgia without my stuff. Yes. Can I just mentality, support from friends and family? Yes, you're back. Okay, yeah, we absolutely need to pace. Put those moving funds to use. Not knowing the politics. Listen, it's gonna be fall. Everybody gonna be excited about football season. You just how about them dogs? Okay, you just do that all the way through your onboarding process. It's gonna be great. Throw in a football player name or two. It's gonna be great. Oh, I'm really excited. Okay, I want y'all to keep thinking about these questions because I know your brain. Here's what I want you to watch out for, though. Your overthinking. Remember, you can always come back and fill in some details. We don't have to see every single step from the beginning. We just need an idea of what you're thinking you want to do by the end of the summer. Ashley's going to finish her entire dissertation by the 1st and edit it throughout August. You see how I created her plan for her. I don't know what she put down on her own paper, but everybody is hearing me saying Ashley is going to get IRB approval from all sites. She's going to collect her data. She's going to analyze that data, and she's going to write a very shitty draft of the findings and discussion chapter by the end of August. I'll even give you to the end of August, Ashley. Okay, I'll even give you that to the end of August. Listen, that's an additional 30 days. You can do it. If anybody could do it, you could do it. But the reason why I think I gave it to you August 1st, because I know the school come back in the middle of August. And you're going to be trying to get your classroom together. You're going to be excited about seeing the kids. You're going to be all bogged down and all the other things that got you doing. So we're going to go back to August 1st, okay? What you need to make that happen? Create database, redo chapters.
My chair had me. She got all serious and stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
She sent out an announcement to all her advisees and said that, hey, I want to see, you got to send me your summer plan. I was like, oh, she for real this time. She ain't never been this for real. Like, she want a whole like plan. And I was like, because I was saying, I ain't gonna do this plan. But yeah, she on this plan. So she's serious about it.
Well, we're going to make it 4. Listen.
When I was mapping it out, it was looking too hot. I was like, this is not realistic. This is not realistic.
Okay, y'all. So keep working on your answers, whatever you're comfortable with. We'll put it in the chat. I want you to practice, work on Ashley. What if it was realistic? As I keep talking, that's what I want you to say is ask yourself in your head, what if it was realistic to do this in the next 60 to 90 days? Okay. So in the next 90 days, you can finish your exams, you can finish your proposal, finish data collection analysis, or finish the entire dissertation. This is the level in which I want you to think on. So pick where you are, because everybody's in different places. Programs are different. This is just me trying to make this real simple. I want you to think about completing milestones in 90 days. This is not about being realistic. What's realistic? Who came up with realistic? Because if I was to go talk to you 20 years ago, with 20 years ago, you'd be like, yeah, it's realistic. I'm going to be in a doc program. I'm going to be almost done. I'm going to make it out. And I'm gonna be doing all the things. If I talk to that version of you, how realistic would they think what you're doing right now, day to day? How realistic would they think that is? So pick a milestone. So what's your milestone, Ayana? I see what you put here, but I want to know your milestone.
For the 90 days, I need to finish my data. I need to be.
So you have your data sets or whatever you're using?
Say that again?
You have your data sets or whatever you're using?
And I have to collect.
Okay, you have to collect.
Data. Not it's quantitative data, so
okay.
It's not like interview.
Okay.
Let me just, I hate to interject in your flow, but I already defended my proposal.
Okay.
And passed. And then right at during when they were giving me my feedback and we passed and everything, but we want you to change everything.
Yeah, that's normal.
Right. So they're like, you passed, it's good. We love this idea. This is great. But IRB approval is gonna take too long. So let's pick something else.
Yeah. Do you know how normal that is? It's so normal.
So we just actually had a meeting earlier today. Because I had sent them some emails over the last weekend, just saying, okay, well, here's new questions, new sources of data, new thoughts. Let's talk through this.
Yep.
So that's where I am. So I basically have to redo chapters 1 through 3, and I do have a data source, but I have to add variables to it. So I have to.
Do you have to show them the updated proposal before you can move on to the data?
No. Hallelujah. No. No.
What do you have to, what other?
We're sort of doing it piece. So I have another meeting with them in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'm basically, with my database, I'm going to do a mini, within the next 2 weeks, it's hard to explain.
Yeah, like a pilot.
Yeah,
kind of. Mm-hmm.
So just to see what variables we're getting, what are we seeing, and so that's what I'm doing over the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And a very, very small literature review.
Okay.
We clearly, all three of us were like, very small literature review. So that's going to be due in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I don't have to do a full proposal because they know I can do it. We're just going to take it one step at a time.
Okay. As a side note, everyone, the proposal defense is not really a real thing. Okay, that's my third grade language, meaning from a graduate school perspective, does not care. They do not. What the graduate school is looking for is a completed dissertation in terms of requirements to graduation. That's all they care about. The proposal defense, the reason why it's there and it's a milestone is because it's a checkpoint to see, do you understand the basics of designing a study? Before you go to IRB and embarrass us, do you understand what goes into a study and can you answer their questions? If you can answer yes to that, yep, you meet the objectives. So it is a very normal thing to like go to a proposal defense and they say you pass and then they're like, oh, redo this. Just redo this. Because yeah, you could do this study, but it's not quite based on this conversation we just had. That ain't what you wrote, ain't really what you wanted to do, or what you wrote is not realistic. Okay, that was cute that you thought you was gonna do that, and especially if you have a committee that's like who understand the assignment, they're gonna be like, no, let's make this simple because this dissertation is an educational exercise. It's not meant to be your life's work. You're not getting tenure. You know, ain't nobody about to promote you off of this. Could we simplify it so that you can meet the requirements and move on? So it's very common for them to be like, change it. Most students will try to change it before they collect data. That's a trap. Especially, but not only, but especially if you're doing a qualitative project, go ahead and put that proposal up. Okay, because you're going to have to rewrite it anyway. And it makes no sense to rewrite it now and then still have to rewrite it on the back end. You're not saving yourself any time. How people do research and practice is very different from how they teach you how to do research. How they teach you how to do research, they make it seem like it's a very linear, logical process where you go to the literature and you like swim in the literature and you're finding all these gaps and it's beautiful. Let me write up this whole like 50 to 100 page proposal and then I'm going to IRB and then I'm going to collect data. No. In practice, they say, I noticed this thing. Let me do a little light search in the literature. Yep, that confirms it. Let me just go ahead and put the IRB application in, give them a little paragraph of literature, tell them what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, go collect the data, analyze it. And after you analyze it, it's like, oh, let me go write the first three, like the proposal part of it, and then the findings and the discussion. That's how you do it in practice, which is why it's very common for you to then defend the proposal and they say, we're going to do this over. Because they're coming from a frame of practice, not how they taught you in class. I know there's probably a lot, it's probably blowing some people's mind, but this is why I'd be like shitty drafts all the way for the win. So we can just go through the process because this is about you learning how to design research. You don't have practice in doing that yet. And anytime we do anything for the first time, we gonna fail at it. That's the point. We don't know what we're doing. We got to get it out of our system. The dissertation, why I call it an educational exercise, is you have to go through it before you're like, oh, I get it. I get why you say do these things and these things. And this is for people, even though you don't believe me, when you get to the end, to the final defense, you're going to look back at your project and be like, I would do this completely different. In fact, I might try to redo it right now before I turn it into the graduate school. You're going to say, it can't be me. I'm going to look at you, post defense and be like, what you doing over there? Why are you changing it? Because you're going to have a different understanding. It won't feel as heavy as it feels right now. You're going to be excited to change it. And you're going to need somebody like your chair, me, a friend to be like, turn it in right now. Do not graduate. And then you can change it after you graduate. So that was more of an explanation. I'm sure you were asking me about or even mentioned, but I wanted to normalize it for you in case your brain had any like story around them making me redo this and they could have told me this a long time ago. They didn't understand exactly what you wanted to do until they got into their room and talked to you. That was the only way. Until you and your committee sit down and have a full conversation after a completed document has been written, that's the only way y'all can be clear about what is the study that can meet the needs of your dissertation process and get to the heart of what you're actually trying to do. I was talking to someone for 3 hours and I was like, I just want you to know it's very normal to have 3 hour based conversations because you don't know what it is that you're trying to measure or what you're trying to find out until you go round for round and really designing a study. But when you are a doc student, you're in a rush to get done because all you want to do is graduate. And your committee is like, but the research process don't care about your graduation and your feelings. It cares about a clear topic and a clear design. But it could be hard to sit with that when you're like, but graduation though. And so anytime, you get feedback or someone's like changing it, it could feel like you're just trying to hold me back. No, they're trying to help you, but it'll all make sense in the end. Okay. Let me know if y'all have any questions about that, but I'll keep dropping nuggets here and there. Okay. So for those of you who are just joining, I do want to know what milestone. So I'm going to put for you to bring this back full circle. I know you say y'all are taking it in increments in terms of your data. I just want you to entertain having a full draft of your dissertation by August 30th. I just want you to entertain it for me, for the sake of this conversation. Just entertain it in the back of your mind. Okay. And who just said, you said a defendable proposal. You already have a proposal. That's not a milestone. You know where I want you to be? Here's what I want you to think about being. What if you defend your proposal and you collect all your data and you're in the middle of analysis, you're at the end of analysis by August 30th. We gonna talk about it at your breakthrough session, Rolanda, okay? That's okay, because that's where I'm thinking. I'm not buying this defendable proposal. We got a starting point. We got 90 days. You're gonna do more than that. Y'all, I need y'all to dream with me. Okay, imagine being in August. Dream with me. I know I sound ridiculous. Okay, I've been doing a lot of interviews this week, and everybody's like, I think you're crazy, but it works. I think that's my brand. I'm happy with it. Okay, draft of dissertation. Boom. So we got that. How do you do it? Y'all, everything comes down to 3 steps. This is how simple it is to get to the end of the dissertation. Decide where you're starting, do a shitty version of it, and ask for feedback. Those are the only 3 steps you need to know. Decide your starting point, write a shitty draft, ask for feedback. Whether you're writing a chapter, whether you're coming up with methods, whether they ask you to find a theory. Decide a starting point, pick an option, and turn it in and ask for feedback. Everything outside of this is drama you made up. Any other things you think you need to do, you're making it up because you're entertaining your brain, the stories it's coming up with, and the drama. Anybody got pushback to this? Or do you have a hard time figuring out how this fits into what you said you wanted to do in the next 90 days? Because these are the only steps you need to know. You have to decide where you're starting, what you're going to do next. Going back to Danielle of like, can I just? That's a great way to decide. Do a shitty version of it and then turn it in. What would stop you from doing this? So let me go up here. So I want to make sure I'm being clear. So Ashley, to have a full dissertation by August 1, are you willing to submit a shitty version of the IRB application and see what they have to say? Are you willing to submit requests, however you're going to do recruitments, to whoever the first 10 to 20 people and see what they have to say? No matter if you think it's ready, no matter if you think it's still something I'm going to do. You ready? Are you willing to do the shitty version of it and see what happens? Let me see who else. Create creating your database. Do a shitty version of the database and turning it into your committee or whomever you're meeting with in 2 weeks and seeing what they have to say. Right? Danielle coming up with a shitty moving plan, giving her family and friends shitty instructions. I like the word shitty. Y'all see my shit marks? Because I want you to understand that I'm saying this is not about perfection. I know you like, I have higher standards and your high standards are keeping you stuck. You don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. So how can you be the one who determines if it's good enough or not? You don't know what you're doing. Turn it into people who do know what they do, who've been there, who could tell you, oh, you could do that, but maybe do this differently.
I need to share either. I turned in my shitty proposal, like the real shitty one, before it went to the committee, to the district that I wanted to conduct my research, and I got my approval letter yesterday, not too long after I talked to you, and I was like, wow, look at what happened when you start, and no revision. They didn't ask for any revision.
That was your shitty version?
That was my shitty.
Look at that. Wow. So when I'm over here like your 10% is everybody else's 90%, this is what I mean. Right? Because you think it's shitty. Meanwhile, they were like, no revisions, no notes. Thank you.
Nope. She just said, good luck on your study, and that was it. I was like, oh snap, really?
That's it. The people who you are looking at and you think they are moving faster than you and you can't figure it out, they're just turning it in. They're just like, they're not overthinking. They're like, listen, I put something down and I turned it in, and they either gonna tell me yes or no. Now I hear you, okay? Because there's a part of me that would be screaming at me right now. And I want you to write that down. Whatever that voice is screaming at you, write it down.
I also want to say thank you to Danielle, because she was one of the ones around that time when I submitted. She said, just go on and submit it, girl. Go and get that in. So thank you, Danielle, if you can hear.
Here are the obstacles. It's going to come down to 3 obstacles that are going to get in your way. Remember, I asked you what's going to get in your way. It comes to 3 categories. Power. Do you have the energy? Belief. Do you believe it'll work? C. Do you care enough to do the things? Right? Remember, I said you only need to do these 3 things. You need to figure out where you're starting, do a shitty version of it, and turn it in. The 3 reasons why you wouldn't do it is because you don't have the energy, you don't believe it'll work, or you don't care enough. For whatever reason, we're not judging why you don't care. You just don't care enough to try it. It's this simple. I'm going to go through each of these, but I just want you to know it really is one of, or a combination of these 3. Anytime I start stepping on toes, edges, I'm in your house, I'm on your street, put a yes in the chat. Even if you're online, okay? Because I'm going to say some things, remember, and you don't want to fight me in your head, but I want you to fight me in this chat so I can see where you are. So the first area, do I have the energy? Right? If you are spending time being like, I just don't have time. Like, I know what I need to do. I just don't have time. Or I do have the time. I just can't focus. I want to do everything else. Or I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know, like, I don't know how. Like, I don't know how to get started. Right? If you are spending time feeling overwhelmed, confused, you're making it up. It's drama. It's coming down to you don't have the energy, maybe, but some version of making it up. It's kind of like you're running a marathon on 2% battery. You don't think it has anything to do with your physical energy, but I'm going to tell you it has everything to do with it. Because you're most likely spending all of your physical energy questioning, okay, but if I start here, then I need to do this. But if I'm going to do this, but then I need to do this. And if I'm going to do that, then I should do this first. And that is crazy making. And that is where you're exhausted because you're trying to think of all the steps because you don't trust that if you start, that it's going to be logical or it's going to get you where you want to go. And when you do that every day over periods of time, it leads you to being burnt out. And even if somebody tells you, well, just do this, you don't even have the energy to do it. You think you need motivation. I just need Dr. Lacey, I know you say motivation is not real, but I do need motivation. Somebody told me that today. Willpower is, you know what? I just got to get myself together because y'all love to tell me that. I just need to get myself together. I know what I need to do. I just need to show up and turn off this TV and stop scrolling and sit my tail down in front of this computer until I do the thing. You know what? I'm not going outside. No pride for me. No Beyonce from me. I'm going to sit here all weekend in the library if I have to. That's pressure. That's what it sounds like. Because that's what you think you need to get over an energy problem. But motivation is an emotion, it's a feeling. And while feelings are valid, they are fleeting. They're here 1 minute, gone the next. It's not a permanent thing. Just because you get motivated, right? How many of you have found a video or you went somewhere? Maybe you went to somebody's defense because we're in that season and you're like, yeah, I feel real motivated. And then by the time you get to the library or whatnot, and you're in front of your laptop, you're like, I don't know what happened to that motivation. Let me go watch something else. Willpower, we only have a certain amount of that. It's a finite resource. There's only so much, like so many days, so many hours, so much time that you can force yourself to just push through, to ignore what your body is saying and push through. Some of y'all hit that wall a long time ago. And I put decision fatigue is real in parentheses because a lot of times, right, it's going back to you have made so many decisions and then now you're coming up with so many what ifs that your brain keeps trying to make decisions for. And it's like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to make no more decisions. Don't ask me nothing. That's where you get into the place of like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. But can you do it? Because you're tired. And pressure makes you panic. You think, oh, I'm gonna go to this like writing retreat. That's a whole week. We're gonna be in the desert somewhere. No phone, no maybe limited internet access, and no work. I ain't gonna have no work. I ain't gonna have no kids. I ain't gonna have nothing. Or here's my other favorite. I'm gonna take off of work. I'm gonna use my PTO all week. And then I ain't gonna have no excuse as to why I can't do it because I'm gonna have the time only to be at home for that whole week and have nothing done. Yeah, I'm sure you did sit in front of your laptop and try to get it done, but you spent it panicked. Because you're like, oh, I need to do and here's how you know you're panicking. I need to do I didn't took the time off. I don't have no excuse. Now, what's the issue? You need to get it done. I'm running out of time. You start being like, okay, I only have 4 days left. Okay, I only have 3 days left. You start doing a countdown. That's panic. What you need is to go lay down somewhere. Now, you're not going to want to hear this. You need to lay down somewhere because you did everything else but lay down. You did everything else but actually gave your brain a break. That's why your brain can't think clearly. It's tired. You ain't gave it nothing to drink. Who knows the last time you actually ate real food? I don't even know. You trying to survive off of caffeine. Okay, and your brain has reached its limit a long time ago. You need to lay down. And it ain't going to feel like rainbows and sunshine, okay? It ain't going to be like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm resting. No, your body has to decompress, and that is not a great feeling. But on the other side of rest, you're going to have clarity. You're going to have energy. You need a routine. You keep trying to figure out every day where to start. You keep trying to figure out every day how to get yourself going. And so that's why you sit down and you reread that one sentence you wrote yesterday. And you reread the same articles you read last week because you're trying to figure out what's your starting place. You're trying to find that rhythm again. Routine. Right? I want you to think about how you drive to work or how do you drive to campus? What do you do in the morning to get yourself ready? Like, how do you brush your teeth? Most likely you're doing these same things in the same ways. You don't have to think about how to drive to campus. You don't have to think about how to brush your teeth because it's a routine. You just do the steps you always do. I want you to think about your dissertation in the same way. In reason. You need something to remind you why you're doing this. Now, y'all, and I'm going to get to this. I'm getting ahead of myself. But if you don't make it to the end, here's what I want you to know. Stop saying, but I already put this too much time in it. I'm leaving here with something. Stop telling me, well, I didn't pay so much money. I'm getting something. That's not working. You don't believe you. It's not a good enough reason because the money is spent. The time you can't get back. So there's a part of you that's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of things we spent money on. There's a lot of things we put time in and decided to walk away. Then you might say, well, I'm not a quitter. Ooh, take a deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath. You already quit. You just not being honest about it. You know how I know you already quit? Because you're not doing nothing. So you've already done the worst case scenario. You need a different reason other than the money and the time and because you're not a quitter. But we're going to talk about it. Okay, second category. Do I believe it'll work? Do I believe it could be this simple? Dr. Lacey, you done over here talking about, girl, I could do this by August and I could do this by August. But do you believe it'll work? Is there a part of you that believes it? And if you are religious or Christian, you will just need faith the size of a mustard seed. Y'all let it quote it. But do you believe it? What it sounds like. Even if I try, it probably won't work. It'll never work. I tried something like this last time. It didn't work. Or maybe you do try it, right? You take me up on my shitty paragraph and you start writing and you like, I mean, yeah, I put words on a page, but it ain't good enough to turn into my chair. You don't know my chair. You don't know my program. And now I'm going to embarrass myself by turning in shitty work. Like if y'all were here earlier this year, right? Ashley was going up and down with me. You don't know my chair. She's not going to take shitty work. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, her chair's like, I would take anything, actually. Just turn it in. If you're telling yourself it's just not clicking, like the words just don't sound academic enough. It's just not, it just don't sound right. Maybe I should read more. No, you know. And I love this analogy. It is like you saying you're going to take a road trip. You're going to go from Atlanta to DC. And the whole time you're going to be like, this GPS is lying to me. Apple Maps don't know what it's talking about. Let me double check. Let me compare it to Google Maps. Let me call my friend and see if this is the right way. You doing that? That's what it's like. Like you don't trust the instructions instead of paying attention to the road. And because you're constantly checking to see if the GPS is right, you're not going nowhere because you keep pulling over on the side of the road. You keep calling people. You're spending more energy trying to double check than like driving and see if you actually make it to DC. That's what you're doing. That's what happens when you're second guessing this process. You think I just need more feedback. I just need my chair to tell me if I'm doing this right. That's what you really want to say. You really just want your chair or your committee to be like, you know what? You did this right. Mimi, you did it right. Perfect. Good job. A+ for you. Go star. That's what you're looking for. And listen, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't do this way. It makes sense, right? Let's go to the whole thing about you wanting someone to say you did it right. That is how we've been trained, right? We've been trained to go to class, get a syllabus. I'm going to read this. I'm going to do this assignment and I'm going to get a grade that tells me if I did it right or not. And we don't have that same framework when it comes to the dissertation because there's no one there to say if you did it right because you are the expert. You are the one to say if you did it right or not. I just want you to know like nothing is wrong with you wanting the validation. The issue is when you want it from other people because you are the expert. This is about research, and being a doctor is about, I trust myself to say this is what I believe and this is how I'm moving forward. Other people can't convince you to trust yourself. Because I'm sure you didn't talk to your best friend. Okay, your best friend is so annoyed. Now, they're not going to tell you, but they don't want to talk to you about your dissertation no more. Okay. They don't want to spend that one more night trying to explain to you all the reasons why you are amazing and you are brilliant and you've done harder things before. Okay. They tired of telling you. They didn't told you 50, 11 reasons why it's guaranteed you're going to get to graduation. And you know what? You still don't believe them. You don't believe them. They didn't text it to you, sent you cards. Y'all been on the FaceTime and you still don't believe them. Your bestie didn't told you. Your parents didn't told you. Your chair didn't told you 20 times. Other program faculty, you didn't call your mentor from such and such. Everybody is telling you, but you don't believe them. That's why other people can't help you trust yourself. It's something you have to decide. I got ahead of myself, but you know. And listen, the reading and the research, it feels good. It feels productive to be going through your notes and let me see if my citation, let me go to my, what's that thing y'all use? Zotero. Let me look through those notes I wrote in that one class because it feels productive. I'm asking you, is it actually productive? Are you producing results or are you feeling productive? Is it, do you have an ego boost to say, you know what, I worked for 10 hours last night, but what did you produce? That's great that you sat in front of your computer screen and strained your eyes for 10 hours, but what came out of that 10 hours? People are like, yeah, I just got to read. What are you producing? If you're not telling me, if you can't tell me the tangible results you are producing, to me, I'm like, you don't trust yourself because you're not taking the action that will produce the results. You're taking actions that feel good. Now, there's a time and place to do things that feel good, okay? Because sometimes we just need that. But if most of your working time in front of your computer and when you're working on your dissertation is you feeling productive, but you're not producing anything, I need you to rethink your strategy. What you need is a clear and easy plan to follow. Now, I think what happens, and I want to say shout out to Mimi because we were having this conversation and this really helped me to remind y'all. Y'all hear me say, oh, I finished my dissertation in 2.5 months. And I think that translates into you don't think that I actually did like the steps I'm telling you to do. What I'm telling you is I wrote a shitty draft. I decided where I was starting. I wrote a shitty draft and I turned it into my chair. And I did that so much that is why I was able to get done as fast as I was. I took out like, oh, what is she going to say? She's going to hate it. I'm like, listen, she the one came up with this ridiculous timeline. I'm going to keep turning it in, shitty and all. I remember there was one version of my discussion chapter that she just wrote back and said, I'm not looking at this. You didn't even get the discussion, the implication section. It ain't even nothing even there. Could you just go ahead and redo it? Okay. I just went and redid it, but it didn't stop me from turning it in. I'm just like, she gonna either tell me yes or no, but I'm gonna just keep doing this until she say yes because I'm over it. What I'm telling you does take some emotional like resilience to be willing to turn in what you think is shitty. But I want you to remember, you can't be the one to judge if it's good enough or yet. Good enough yet. So you have to turn it into the people who do determine that. In terms of, do you meet the requirements? Not if you are good enough. It's not about your individual worth. It is about, do you meet the requirements of research? So when you have a clear and easy plan to follow, when you say, I'm going to focus on this one thing, and this is what it looks like to focus on this one thing, step by step. When you show up to write, you're just doing a checklist, right? How we do the scholar planner routine. You're making it so clear that if you were to delegate it to someone else, they could do it on your behalf. You need to work in an environment around people where you feel safe to practice. Your chair may not be a safe person to practice with. What I mean is maybe your chair does not believe in the shitty draft. And so your chair is like, no, I don't want to see that. You need to go find you people who will take your shitty draft and review it and give you feedback until it gets to a point where they're like, yeah, now you should go turn it into your chair. but you do need the practice, and you need people who are going to say, you got this, because you're going to have days when you don't feel like it. Okay. Mimi, let us know. What's the good news?
Good news. I don't know that I have good news. I guess my first comment is, you called my name when you were talking about the validation piece, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is she trying to read me today? But I guess what you unlocked for me is the tension where you're saying that on the one hand, we are in this process of writing, revising, submitting it, and waiting for somebody to tell us when it's good to go, good enough, and all of that. And what I'm realizing is it's easy to conflate that part of the process with the your self-perception and worthiness. And so I don't know, it can just be easy to want to seek the validation from the folks who are saying yay or nay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the part that I'm realizing has been hard for me.
Mm.
And I was wondering if you could maybe speak to that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, yeah.
Yeah, I know I love to use the example of Beyonce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Beyonce, let's go back to 2 years ago, let's say, as she's starting to plan in her brain and on paper, Cowboy Carter tour. And she goes to her team of people. Now she, as the Virgo she is, she can see, because she even says, I imagine it in my brain how every section of the tour is going to go before I start to implement it. So she goes and she tells people, here's my vision. Now she's very grounded in what she wants to see. But when she goes to articulate it to her team to put it into practice, they may not understand exactly what she means because they're not in her mind. Right. So for those of you, and if this is too niche of an example, I'll find another one. For those of you who watched the Renaissance movie, there is a scene where she's looking for a particular camera lens. I think it was a fisheye lens. And one of the crew members kept telling her the lens that you want does not exist. And she's like, it does exist. And he kept being like, no, it doesn't. And so she went to the Googles and found the link in the lens and was like, see, I ordered one. It'll be on this way or something like that. Part of this example I want to go to is that is what you're doing in the dissertation, right? Like you have a vision of how you see this project going and what type of impact you want to make and who you want to work with. But the work in the writing and the talking to your chair and committee is making sure you're articulating it in the way that they taught you research. It's pretty much you're translating it into the language of research. And because you don't have practice in translating things into research language, you need someone else who is used to using research language to say, oh yeah, this is how we would describe it versus this is how we wouldn't describe it. In the same way, right, Beyonce's having a conversation with the crew member about the lenses. Hopefully that part is clear, but if not, let me know. So that's one section. Another section that's happening in terms of the self-worth piece. What if Beyonce went to her team before Cowboy Carter and was like, y'all, I don't really think I could do this. I really don't think I could perform for 3 hours. I don't think I can remember all the words to the song. I don't think people are going to want to come and see me. I don't know what I'm doing. People would be like, girl, after 30 years, what you mean you don't know what you're doing? That would sound so ridiculous for her to be like, I don't think I know what I'm doing. Your committee, your friends, your family, that's how they're looking at you. They're looking at you as if you're Beyonce talking about you don't know how to perform, that you don't know what you're doing, that you're not comfortable. They would be like, that's why they keep talking to you of but you're smart, you'll get there. That's why it feels so flat, because how they see you is you are brilliant. They know you to be brilliant. They know you to do impossible things. That's who you've been their whole relationship to you. So they're looking at you like, what do you mean? You do this all the time. So don't conflate, like, yeah, you are brilliant. You do make magic happen all the time. You just need help developing the skills of translating what you want to do into research language. It's a skill. It's not about you as a person. Is that helping, Mimi? Or like, is this these analogies landing?
Yeah, that hit for me. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard for you to trust that the people you select as a chair or you select as a committee member, right? Because some of you have people who you like, no, but they for real, Dr. Lace, like they're a big deal. Just because you have a view of, in the same way you have a view of them being a big deal, I want you to consider that they have that same view of you, even if you are a student. Have you ever considered that your faculty are so impressed with you and your brilliance, your persistence, your tenacity that they're like, wow, wait till they like graduate and they really get freedom. It's a wrap. You ever consider that's how they see you? Some of you have students or people you supervise or you mentor that you're like, they're so brilliant. I want you to consider that people see you in the same way. And if we want to go back to Beyonce, if this is helping, right? If you see clips of her performing as a little kid, you like, that big old voice came out of that little body. Brilliant, right? Are there things she needed to learn how to do as a performer and a musician? Yes, because Prince was like, girl, learn the piano because you don't know what you're doing all the way right now. You got talent, okay? But you need to learn music. You need people who come along who help you craft and hone in your skills, but it doesn't take away from your brilliance and who you are. Your chair, and for those of you, and not because I could hear, there's a certain group of you who are like, my chair didn't give me any instructions. She was just like, go, because they fully trust you. They fully trust you to figure it out because they see you as Beyonce. Let me know. You want to fight the air? You got thoughts about that? We're going to go to this third section. So we talked about, do you have the energy? Do you have the belief? Then let me say this before I go deeper into care. As long as you have the energy and you believe it works, that's all you need. You don't have to care about your topic to be a doctor. You don't have to like it to finish it, to write it. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm so inspired. You don't have to find a reason like, oh, I'm going to help so-and-so. You don't. People do it every day. People pick a random topic and they just put the words on the page and they move on. Did you know you don't have to care? Now I hear a younger me who's like, I can't do it if I'm not passionate about it. If my feelings are not in it, I can't do it. And I have to bring myself back down to earth and be like, girl, that is not a requirement for you to do the steps. I know that's what you want. It ain't a requirement. Okay, I'm listening in, writing the shitty paragraphs. We love a multitasker, okay? Wait, did I? Yes, okay, care. Do I care enough to try? What it sounds like, you know what? I'll do this later. You know, you said you was going to write tonight. Today is a Thursday, right? And let's say you went to work. When you woke up this morning, you're like, today I'm writing. And so you got up, you went to work, you went about your day, and now it's time to write. And you're like, I don't feel like it. Let me go scroll Instagram. For those of you who are on Instagram, let me go see what they're doing on the TikTok. Or you look at it and you're like, somebody told me this today too. I'm not excited about this no more. I used to be excited about it 3 years ago, but it don't relate to me. I don't want to do it no more. Or if you did have something that you kind of are excited about it, but you feel like you're not qualified to do it, you start rationalizing like, maybe I'm not the one to do it. I'm not meant to do this. Maybe somebody else can do it. They're more qualified, but not me. My analogy, because it was hard to come up with an analogy for this one, how you're treating your dissertation, how your dissertation feels if it had feelings would be like, if you keep texting a friend who never texts you back. Now, let me be clear. Okay, I am usually the friend who does not text back, not because I'm doing it on purpose. I just get overwhelmed. Okay. But I do know that it makes people feel like they're ready to fight me because it leaves you hanging. It makes you feel like, why am I the one keep putting in work and you not texting back? Why am I always doing the one that's inviting you and you ain't even showing up and doing nothing? It's like it's empty, it's hollow. And it's going back to what I was saying earlier. You no longer know why you're doing this. You keep telling yourself, I spent too much money. I've been in this program too long. I might as well. And y'all, this is probably the number one thing that I have to repeat over and over and over, especially in private coaching. You know who does not care? Your nervous system. Your nervous system does not care that you put too much money in and it's too much time. It doesn't even, it's like, so what? So you can still quit, which is why I will ask you over and over, why don't you just quit? It's not because I'm not trying to test you. I'm genuinely asking you to consider what happens if you make the decision to say, I'm walking away. Well, I'm not a quitter. Okay, let's move on beyond that. What else would happen? What would change about your life if you decided, you know what, I don't want to do this. This is important because we need to know what the answer is. We need to know what comes up. Some of you, if you allowed yourself to be honest about that, you would notice, well, nothing would really change about my life. Actually, my life will get better because the pressure would be gone. Actually, I could go pursue some other things that I've been thinking about. But what comes after the but? Yeah, my life will be better, but I'll always be thinking about it. I would always wonder why. What I say to that is, what would your 85-year-old self say? 85-year-old you who's looking back at you now, let's say you decide to walk away, what would 85-year-old you say? Who's like lived their life, is in their golden years. Okay, because I can't wait to be 85. The way I'm just going to be so mean and rude, like, I'm 85, I deserve it. Would I care? Would I care that I didn't go to them people's school and get their paper? Would I care? Go to that version of you. Because what if you allow yourself to go there, you know what we start getting into? You might say some version of, well, them people win. All those people who told me I couldn't do it, they gonna win. That chair who told me I couldn't write, that faculty who said I couldn't write, they gonna win. I'm gonna miss out on the opportunity of walking into the conferences and everybody calling me doctor. That's the reasons I'm looking for. You need a petty reason, and I'm probably still getting it. I'm gonna come back to this. No, I'll say it. You need a petty reason that, because they're gonna have to call me doctor, is what's gonna make you get up and write when you don't feel like it. Because they're gonna have to see me as, on the days where, let me turn this in because I'm going to walk into that conference and be petty. Because they're not about to be right. Because when I go and I look at that person at graduation who told me I was never going to make it and they got to sit there next to me. Yeah, I want them to feel uncomfortable. That's going to help you stop reading and put words on a page. Now, I know your brain wants to override this and say, well, that's not healthy. We being petty. Petty reasons are real reasons. You trying to be logical. You trying to be like, oh, like, well, it's about the money and the time. That's not working. When you dig deep into like the reasons you don't tell other people about, that's what's going to make you keep going when you don't feel like it. But if you don't allow yourself space to think of the petty reasons, you're going to keep spinning in circles. Be petty. Stop trying to be your, highly educated self because you evolve. Don't be evolved right now. Be petty. Speak to your ego. Okay. You think you need excitement. You think you need to like find something more interesting. You think you need to be inspired. A lot of you are like, I just need to be by myself. And a lot of you have had these and it's not working. Feelings are temporary. Excitement is a feeling. changing topics, changing methods, changing chapters you're working on, it just delays your progress. Switching from, oh, I was doing this and now I'm going to do this. Like, I would say your one goal for the month was you was going to finish your literature review, but then you get to June 12th and you're like, I'm over the literature review. Let me switch to my methods. That is just delaying your progress. And remember, inspiration, motivation, it comes after you take action. It's not before. Most of you think you need to be motivated in order to write. No, you need to write and then you'll be motivated. And sitting in isolation away from people only makes that inner dialogue of doubt and shame and guilt louder. You're just sitting alone by yourself with all your voices, with nothing to help you combat it. Nobody to be like, let me help you change it. Oh, I did. You need petty truth. You don't have to tell me the reasons you want to do this that you don't tell other people about, but tell yourself, remind yourself every day. Get around people. Stop getting around people who are trying to one up you. Oh, okay. I feel this in my spirit. A lot of you are writing and hanging out with people who are jealous of you. But you think they're further along than you. If you every time you go around that group of people and they want to tell you, oh, I got published here, oh, I'm speaking here, that's all y'all talk about is how they're doing this and this and this. You ever wonder why do they feel the need to tell you that all the time? Like, why do they feel the need to always tell you what they accomplish and who they know and what they doing? Did you know you in a competition? Do you know they're competing with you all the time? Like, because if that's the first thing out their mouth, that means they see you as being further along than them and they're trying to tear you down. They might not even be conscious of it, but most of you are around people who are jealous of you. Because you don't realize that every time you talk, brilliance come out. I'm talking to me too. Don't worry. Okay, I'm in this category. I just be over here just talking and sharing ideas and have I don't even realize that I didn't help this person solve a whole problem that's going to make them so much money or help them finish their degree faster. I'm just over here being my nerdy self. I'm not the only one, though. Y'all are around people you calling friends who are sabotaging you. The only reason why they're around you, they treating you like a human AI. They're like, I can ask you the question. You always know the answer. But this is going to require some of you to be honest about why you keep hanging around them. Because it makes you feel good. Because it makes you feel like, oh, I could contribute something. I'm deserving. You get your sense of worth or importance from being the helpful one to being the go-to person. Because that's the only way that you know that, like, oh, okay, I'm deserving of good things. Now we're getting deep, but I want to put that in the back of your mind for you. We can come back to that. But some of you, I just really want you to sit with that. Why are you the go-to person? Why are you in everybody's business? Why are you helping everybody, but nobody helping you? It's not them. You're deciding to help them. I'm asking you why. Like, come from a place of curiosity. Don't judge yourself. Be really, try to be like, why do I do that? Why do I feel like everything will fall apart if I'm not there? What would happen if I really did say I stepped away? Because some of you know that if you really did step away from helping everybody else, you could be done. Why are their dreams? Why are what they want? Because most of it is wants. Why is that more important than what you need? Why is it more important than your goal of becoming a doctor? So what? They will struggle. So what? They'll have a hard time. Is that worth you becoming doctor? That they have to go find somebody else to help them? But I'll come back. Habits. We need rhythms and routines. Okay, ADHD folks. I know you like, I don't want to do the same thing over and over. That's why I'm using the word rhythm. Okay, how I think about a rhythm is like every morning in general, I know I want some sort of coffee because I've been on an iced coffee kick. I know I want iced coffee. I know that I'm gonna have to walk the dog. I know that I want to try to read something. Okay. I know I want to do those three things. I don't always do those three things in the same order. I don't always do those three things in the morning. I don't always do those three things in like back to back. A rhythm means I just know I want to do those three things throughout the day. And when I go to do each of those three things, I generally have a way that I start it. How it ends, that ain't up to me. But I know I have a way that I started and I know I want to do it. A rhythm means I have a general outline, but how I choose to execute can have some freedom with it. I'm asking you to work with your neurospiciness. Okay. But even if you don't feel like you have any, or you don't have any neurospiciness or neurodivergence, habits, routines, rhythms are going to be your best friend because it takes out the work of how do I get started? Okay. Take a breath. Give me an emoji. Give me a word. Give me a few words. How you feeling? You can unmute if you want to. How we feeling?
I may look exhausted, but I'm so glad to be here. I'm feeling good. This is a breath of fresh air.
I was feeling that way while I was creating it because I was talking to me. Y'all be thinking like I be trying to come for you. I be coming for myself. Yes. Now you look like you made it through the school year, okay? And you know what? The kids are alive, and you ain't hurt nobody. That's what you look like. You ain't nobody.
You don't be the kids. I tell y'all, you're the adults. You're the adults.
You ain't.
Like, I came from the gym. I'm sitting
Okay.
on my couch on a towel because I've been working since this thing, and I really think we're about to have a 5-minute break so I can jump in the shower. And I literally been engrossed in this little document. This is the most I've written in a while.
Look at that. Listen, and then you probably are also, there's a part of you doing the math of how much energy and time you didn't get at school and going back and forth with the teachers and the administration. And you probably pissed. I'm saying honor being pissed because that's real. That's because y'all think it's about like, oh, I just need to get myself together. I'm just being lazy. No, you're mad. Most of you you're mad. You're angry, but you won't allow yourself to be angry. It don't make no sense. They don't know what they're doing. Be mad about it.
Dr. Lacey, when my therapist told me, you lost your joy. You don't look happy. You ain't been working out. You ain't been doing the things that make you happy. I literally told my new boss, because I got a new boss today.
Hey.
Tuesday. I said, this is my last year in this district. He's like, okay. Yeah. And if I could right now, I would quit if I didn't have this mortgage. But I'm going to give you my best. But in my head, it's really the bare motherfucking minimum because I'm going to sit in this hallway and do this dissertation because I know my dumbass coworker, because he dumb.
Oh, poor Tink Tink.
Bare minimum every day. So I'm going to do bare minimum too. Because I'm going to write this dissertation in this hallway and collect my check.
Period.
One of these interviews work out.
No, we're gonna do both. We're gonna do both because it's June, right? It's June, and you gotta be there. Ain't no kids there. They got you doing busy work that you could do in 2 hours. The rest of the time, dissertation.
I'm gonna do that during the school year too.
Yes,
Be doing all that.
absolutely, because this job isn't hard for you.
Mm-mm.
This is what y'all need to set. You may not be assistant principal. You may not be in education. What I want y'all all to think about how you show up and work. I want you to think about, like, for real, as your job description is on paper, how challenging is that for you? I'm not talking about the extra stuff you didn't picked up and you didn't agree to. I'm saying as the job you were hired for, how challenging is it? How much time does it actually take if you just did what was on the paper? You didn't try to do nothing extra and add no sparkles to it. You just did what they hired you for. Be honest about how much time does it take you and how much energy does it take you. Most of you need less than a day to get your work done. And the rest of the time, you could be working on things that are important to you. Now, some of you can't work on your dissertation while you're at work, but you could put in your grocery order. You can make your grocery list. You can make some other decisions that you keep waiting until you get to home to do. You could just sit there and do some breathing. Okay. You could be planning, I want to apply to these jobs. Because when I was sitting there at my job, I was like, oh, I'm building a business. I could do all this work and they're going to be super impressed in my little 10 hours a week I give them. They're going to be blown away. The remainder 30, 40 hours, I'm going to do stuff that's important to me. And who going to say something about it? They can't. I exceeded their expectations. Now they were like, we want to see you do extra stuff. Are you going to pay me for that extra stuff? No, you should do it for the experience. I don't need the experience. That's why I'm exceeding your expectations. Okay, let me get off that. You can got me there. But for some of y'all, like, give yourself permission. What about other folks? How we feeling? I didn't see it. I need some words, some emojis. Are all of y'all writing, working? What y'all doing? Chris, you know, I try to come on here. Chris, every time I say I'm gonna be cool, I'm gonna be cute, I'm gonna keep it cool, and then it don't happen.
You had the Air Force Ones, not the hard bottoms, but it's still the same. It's all love. It's all good.
It's all love. So I want you to revisit what you said you're going to do over these next 90 days. Do you have the energy? Do you believe you could do it? Do you care enough to try to do it? If the answer is nothing but a hell yes, why? What do you think you need? What's missing? Based on everything that we talked about, what do you need? You don't have to tell me in the chat, but I do want you to tell yourself by writing it down. What do you need? When I'm asking you what you need, I'm giving you examples right now. All the things that we've been talking about are not nice to haves, they are needs. You need water. You need to be hydrated. You need rest. You need time where you're not doing anything else but whatever you want to do. Not what you think you should do, what you want to do. You want to scroll? Go right ahead. You want to lay down and watch, what's that movie that's on the show, the new one? Is it Forever? I don't know, on the Netflix. You want to do that? Now, y'all know Tyler Perry came out with a new movie. Okay. You want to go watch that? I'm not going to judge you too harshly. Okay. Because I just don't know why we can't get a main character a black woman who's just having a positive experience, child. I don't know what it's going to take, but I just believe I'm not his demographic. Okay. I'm not his target audience. We're going to leave it there. Okay. But what do you need? Do you need food? Do you need people to sit with you while you write a shitty paragraph? Do you need somebody to review the paragraph and tell you like, oh, this part makes sense to me, or I'm confused about this part? Do you need somebody to help you come up with some petty reasons? Do you need your chair to respond to your email? What do you need? Okay, so for those of you in FYD, you've already invested in this program to help you with the needs. I just want to remind you how it helps you, okay? Because we all need a reminder, right? I created a program because my brain was like, I in theory know what to do, but it would have been nice if somebody was guiding me along the process and gave me a routine to follow. I'm that type of student who I want the routine just so I can do something I call it being creative within boundaries. Now, I'm not going to do it the way you told me to do it, but I do need an example so I can make it my own. That's the type of person I am. I'm assuming you're similar. Okay. Either way, even if you needed step-by-step, so giving you step-by-step. I want you to learn how to maintain your energy and your motivation, because that comes after action. But I want you to learn how to maintain it so that you don't have to keep building it up every day. That you get to just show up and keep that energy going. I want to show you how to do 40 hours of work in 10 hours a week. I know y'all be like, that 10 hours can't be me. It would if you decided this. Because if you're honest, you're spending most of that 40 hours of work that you do staring at your computer, second guessing. And I'm asking you to get to work. Take action. What would it look like to complete a chapter or a milestone every 30 days? So, going back to my people who going to have a whole Ashley and Chris, both of y'all on this call, I want an entire dissertation by August 1. So, June, wrap up data collection. July, analyze that data and start writing. I'm not saying it's a full dissertation. I said, like, in terms of all citations, everything is explained. I want your shittiest draft by August 1. That might be 2 pages. It might be 10 pages. Who knows? The point is you're going through the process. You're showing yourself what's possible. Okay. Yeah, I said I was going to troll them all summer so that you're going to hear me just troll them. Every time I get, I'm just going to bring their name up because we're not doing what we did in the proposal. Okay. I let y'all play around. You can finish it August 1. I want you to show how to work within a community of people who are going to challenge you and support you. Who are not trying to one up you, supporting you. We've already had some examples today, right? And if you need some help, ask Danielle. She's a Gemini. She loves explaining things down to its basic components. Okay, I'm going to tell you the feeling behind it as a Sagittarius and the why. She's going to tell you like the technical terms and the step by step, okay? And I want you to grow in your confidence. Confidence means I trust myself. I trust my writing. I trust my ability as a doctor. And like Dr. Winston, this is where I got this last point from, is from Dr. Winston. I want you to finish this process healthy, happy, and whole. She will repeat that every time she came to a call. I just want to be healthy, happy, and whole. And it stuck. So you get a routine, you get a place to practice, and you get peers. I want to remind you, like, this is what it's coming down to. If you are sitting here being like, now, what am I supposed to do in this program again? Routine. It's 10 hours a week. It gives you enough time to get work done, but it also gives you time to take care of yourself so that you have more energy to do more, to think clearly. Gives you a place to practice. Right? We have these calls. We have Write With Us. We have writing sprints. Practice writing. Those of you who are writing right now as you're listening to me, right? You get to practice the routine. You get to ask questions. You get to figure out how to make it your own, which will build up confidence and trust, because that means you're making progress, you're producing results. And then good energy, right? We're reminding you when you hear other people's stories on these calls, when people are telling you, like, y'all watch Danielle go from like beginning of this year, collecting all her data, analyzing it, and rushing to write those chapters so that she could graduate by May. You saw that. You saw Chris talking about going back and forth with this committee who just can't get right. Okay, we love Chris and his community, his committee, but sometimes they just be trying to make things difficult. But you need those examples to show you when you don't have belief in yourself, like why you can do it. Right? So we have the weekly calls. I don't think I have a slide. I do. So we have weekly calls, right? You write, you get coaching. Every month we have the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat. Got the dissertation vault. You can get lost in there for hours, days, and weeks. I get lost in there trying to find things, okay? Because I get distracted. I'm like, oh, I forgot about this. And community. Okay, let me go to this. Let's go to the calls. Mondays. If you haven't noticed, in June, Mondays, we now have scholar planning. You go to that call at 7 p.m. to make your plan for the week, to decide where you're starting. Tuesday and Wednesday evening, you have Write With Us sessions. You're writing in community. There's a call facilitator there to help you. Wednesday afternoons, you have writing sprint. I did one yesterday. For all of June, I'm going to be doing the writing sprint. So if you want to come join me, 12 to 2, it's free to anybody who wants to join on Wednesday afternoon. I am showing you how to plan, how to get a lot done in your 25-minute Pomodoro session. Because a lot of you be like, even in 25 minutes, you be getting lost. We talk about how not to get lost and get stuff done. Thursdays, we have open coaching calls. I'm the first and third Thursday. Dr. Winston is the second Thursday. And monthly workshops. This workshop for this month, if you didn't see my email, on the 19th, we're having a workshop on revise and resubmit, how to ask for feedback and how to respond to feedback. I'm expanding on that. I want to show you how not to get lost in the feedback of it all, because I can imagine that opening up a document and you see all those track changes and comments, you just want to close it back up and go do something else. We're going to talk about how not to do that. 10 pages in 2 days. Our next one is the 28th and the 29th. Every month we do this. Now, we won't have one officially in July. We'll have 2 in August. Just so that the schedule is up on Circle if you want to go look. But we go through the scholar writing routine. Day 1 is where you're going to write the most pages. And day 2, we're going to talk about what happens when that voice starts to come up to be like, yeah, you did that day 1, but what about day 2? And if you follow the process, you will leave with more than 10 pages. The Vault, we got writing guides, how to write your chapters, especially if you're doing a qualitative project, how to defend what you wrote. We have the video trainings that go along with the guides, call recordings, and bonus material, because there was a period there that I was just doing workshops every week, 2 or 3. Going back to last year, I was doing like 2 or 3 workshops a week. I don't know. Don't ask me. I just had all the ideas. Remember, we got Circle. How many of you check Circle every day or every week? So there's motivation there. Okay, if you want to know what your routine is, this is 10 hours. You practice the scholar basics every day, right? You drink your water, you lay down, you move your body, you write your shitty paragraph, you journal. I know y'all don't like the journaling part, but I promise you, if you do it, you will be able to think more clearly. Practice that every day. You won't get it perfect every day, but you practice it. Every week, aim for at least two pages, 2 shitty pages. What if you just focus on, I just need to write 2 pages a week? Because by the time you get to the end of the month, you should already be about at your 10 pages. And then when you come to the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat, that should take you up. This is how you're completing a chapter a month. Scholar planning routine every Monday. Try to attend at least 1 call a week. And communicate with your chair every week. Okay, stop leaving these people hanging. Email them. All you got to do is say, this is what I'm working on. This is what you can expect from me by this date. Okay, bye. Peace and blessings. Yes, Dr. McArdle.
I'm still getting used to hearing that. I just been chime in because I used to fight it too, thinking that I had to become Confucius and write something beautifully thought out and perfect when I was journaling. And when I let it be easy and just be, okay, I'm sitting down and I don't want to write, so I'm just going to start throwing words on the page about whatever my roommate said or whatever was happening that I didn't want to write, or I'm going to the Beyonce concert, yay.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I just let it be this stream of consciousness, then it freed me to have the headspace to write. Because it doesn't have to be this very well thought out meta exercise. It really can just be anything, just to bring them.
Just to bring
help
them.
clear the mind so you can get into it.
Especially before you're writing, you'll be shocked. Because in your brain dump, you're going to start writing whatever section you have decided. So thank you. Here's my final reminder, and then I'm going to open it up for questions and thoughts. If you don't leave with nothing else, I just hope that you sincerely believe that you know enough. Like right now, in this moment, you know enough. You have enough. You are enough to be a whole ass doctor. There's not anything that you're missing outside of you. You have everything you need to be a doctor in this moment. Your job is to work on believing that this is true, because the more that you believe that this is true, the faster you'll get to graduation. All right. So where are we? Where are we in terms of reactions? How we feeling? Any questions that are coming up? Anybody panicked about their plan? We all good? We was like, oh, let's just get to work. Okay, let me see. So Ashley, tell me,
Yes.
where are you? Are you going to give me a whole draft by the first?
I can't even give you a whole draft because I gotta go through my institution. Like I got the district
Mm-hmm.
approval, but I gotta go through my RFP.
Mm.
I do feel a little bit more like, hey, I can get this application in a lot sooner than I thought.
Okay, let's do this. Do you know when your IRB meets?
I forgot. Yeah, I can't remember what day it is. But they meet once a month. Yeah.
Do you know what the time is? Let's look it up for June right now. When is it for June?
Let me look it up. I don't forget. I just knew the district one by heart.
She did. She
Yeah.
said this before. That's why I'm like, we're going to go look it up now. I'm not entertaining her. Right? Like, because that's what we do. Like, I can do this, but you notice that you're not telling me factual reasons why you can't do it. You're telling me, like, but I got it, the heaviness of it. Right.
It is because when you start looking at the, like when you said somewhere in what you were saying, you said that you started to break it down, and when you break it down to all of these little pieces, like all of the minuscule tasks that you need to do, yeah, it starts to become very daunting. Which is why it's taking me forever, but I'm almost finished. It's taking me forever to get this summer plan for my chair, because I meet her tomorrow. And she said she's gonna meet with us bi-weekly, but I was like, I thought this probably gonna be the only time I get to see her this because we meet virtually this summer, because she got a lot of stuff going on.
All your chair needs to know, because your brain made up when you said plan that she wanted all these details. All she needs to know is, girl, in June, I'm going to get IRB approval. I'm going to start data collection. In July, I'm going to finish data collection and do analysis. And you're going to have a shitty version of my entire dissertation by the end of August. That's all she needs to know. Right? My first step of the framework said, pick a starting place and do a shitty version of it. You may have broken things down, right? It makes it easier to pick one. We're just gonna pick one, and we're gonna do a shitty version of it, and we're gonna get feedback. Your pick one is to see when is the next date of IRB, turning the shitty version of the application, and let them give you edits, because they always got edits. They always got some legal question you didn't even think of. And then you're just gonna keep doing that until they approve it. But it starts with knowing when do they meet, so you can make sure that you get the application in before they meet. It is daunting. I know it's scary to think of yourself as a doctor, because we get to this point and we're like, now who trusts me to collect data? I don't have enough classes. I don't have enough experience, which is why I want to remind you that you do have enough. People wouldn't let you get this far if you were not ready. It's not just for Dr. Thomas, it's for everyone here. Okay, she's going to tell us, who do I want to go to next? Chris, how did your interview go? Did you have more since yesterday? Did those people respond to you?
Yeah, I finished up yesterday. So I did 2 yesterday. One was a podcaster for Marsha's Plate, which was the best hour of conversation I ever had. And so grateful that they answered my email, because they don't know me. But that makes 24. And I only have 2 more that are on the schedule now. One is next Tuesday, and the last one is the 20th of June.
And please remind me if you told me this already. Have you started cleaning up your
Yes.
data?
I did. I met with the intercoder reliability person, and they're helping me. I put created a box folder, created a code book, and I cleaned up 2 transcripts for them to look at, and I put them in box, so they have them already. And we're gonna meet in July because I know they're going out of town
Mm-hmm.
for family vacation, and they're going to a conference. They're in my group.
Mm-hmm.
They're in my part of the group. They're under my advisor, but they do pop culture,
Okay.
and studies,
Mm-hmm.
English type stuff. But they've done interviews,
So they're going to, y'all gonna, if I understand it, y'all are going to work on 2 interviews together.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's what you have to wait till July to do that, or what's y'all like?
Well, I gave them to July to report back their findings, but I'm gonna just be coding on my own.
Okay, because I was about to say
No,
yes.
I gave that to them, but I've already started downloading the rest of the transcripts and plan to work on 1 to 2 a day.
Okay. So just make sure, and you probably already know this, but make sure after every transcript you do a memo.
Okay.
You just want to pull up a document and just brain dump on it. And that'll be your memo about like, this is what's coming up. This is what's sticking out to me. Here's because you're going to naturally start making connections of like, oh, that reminds me when so-and-so said this, or that reminds you, you're going to start thinking about, oh, I remember in this interview, they mentioned this, and you want to have a place to track that. So
Okay.
I
So
was just,
memo after each one.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And just date it and just say like which transcript you analyze, and then just brain dump and then move on to the next one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so June 17th, what has to happen? It's June 5th. What has to happen in the next 12 days for you to get this application done?
You asking me that question?
Mm-hmm. Talk it out. You don't have to like listen. We can't see you. We don't even know what you're doing. The people don't know who you are. Just like make up something. What you think you have to do between today and the 17th?
The main thing is just to make sure everything is finalized, like all my forms and stuff, because I went through all of the questions that they're asking. And then one of my chair members just said that because even though it's a mixed method, it's still a case study. And she said that I didn't explain the boundedness very well in my paper, even though I could articulate it in my defense. And she said, okay, all of that you just said needs to basically go in the paper. And so that's it.
But you don't need to do the paper part right now.
No, but in my head, it's like I feel like I need to.
I know, head. I know.
I mean, I just got to be real. Like that's one of the things that, like, even my chair, she has. But we already had this conversation about how she said just go and do it, but then like it's like go and do what? Because you're telling me that only put in the revisions that's needed for the IRB. But what is that? Because I went through and y'all didn't give me nothing to revise. Like the only thing that I saw that I needed to revise was what I'm saying, a bounded system to talk about the content.
Yeah.
At least that's what I thought.
So tell me how do you understand the bounded system of your case study?
And see, that's the thing. I feel like I need to
listen. It's Thursday night. I just want you to talk to me like I don't know if you drink. Okay, we just having wine night.
So my understanding of bounded system, the context in a sense is basically the time frame that I'm actually doing it, and also the fact that basically these people have had training on CRT, and because they have had training on CRT, then I want to see what do they actually use to be able to facilitate that. And according to, because I felt like she was trying to school me in my defense, but she was like, that's the bounded systemness that I need to put in the paper. I need to talk about, what's the context of which these participants are coming from.
Okay. So for everyone, for the sake of everybody here listening, when you're doing a case study, you need to be very clear what is the case that you are studying. Like, how do you know what's included versus what is not included?
Right.
So go to your example. Who are the people you're focusing on, Ashley?
I'm focusing on Black women, and they're all secondary science teachers.
So Black women who are secondary science
They're
teachers
science teachers, right? And
who
they have at least 3 years of experience
of
teaching
teaching
Black
and
and brown students.
Black and brown students. And tell me the CRT connection.
The CRT connection is that I'm looking at how are they using technology to support basically their implementation of CRT.
So how do you know if they understand and or implement CRT in their instruction?
That's the part that I was like, do I have to define it? We talked about it in my committee. Like, do I have to define it for them? I do have a question where I'm asking them what their understanding of CRT is, because sometimes, you might hear something and then but you do something. I do it all the time as a teacher. I do something and I don't even really understand that. Not understand. I don't know that it has a name. I should put it like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes a lot of these teachers, they probably don't even realize that they are implementing CRT because they don't know that even exists. Like, it's a concept that even exists. But because it's a district initiative, which is what my chair was saying, that, this is a district initiative. She's like, we didn't talk about that in the paper. We need to talk about how that is something that they're actually coming from. They have some formal training on that. So I don't know if these teachers have an understanding of CRT. That's why I was just going to ask them what their definition of it is.
Okay, let me pause so that I can explain. So I'm going to use Beyonce again as an example. Right. So let's say I wanted to do a case study about the experiences of Beehive members. Right. How I would bound this, right? I need to decide, okay, how do I know if someone is in the Beehive or not? As the researcher, I'm going to give a definition through my literature review of what it means to be a Beehive member. And let's say, for the sake of example, I say a Beehive member is someone who has listened to at least 2 hours or more of Beyonce's music each year for the past 3 years. That's my definition. Hashtag won't relate to everybody, right? But that is me as a researcher. That's how I'm defining it. So when I go to recruit, I'm going to put that definition on the recruitment materials, and I'm going to ask them, have you listened to at least 2 hours of Beyonce's music each year for the past 3 years? Yes or no? Those who select yes are in the case. Those who select no are not in the case. And so then they're not in the study. Then when I go to collect data and I'm interviewing them, I'm going to say, how do you describe what it means to be a Beehive member? Right? I gave a definition, but I still want to know how their understanding of it. Because one is about being very clear who's included in the study, and the other definition is about how they understand it, their perceptions. So to use that in your example, when someone is saying, what are the boundaries of the case, you're like 80-90% of the way there, right? You know, Black women who are secondary science teachers, right, who teach Black and brown students, and you said for 3 years, and they use CRT. And then so you want to define CRT, and you can choose, now this is you as the researcher, you can choose to use the definition of the district, since they're all going to be within that district, and that makes it even more clear about the boundaries. Or if you don't like that definition that the district, you can incorporate your own as long as you back it up from literature. But the
Thank
easy
you.
button, right?
That's one of the questions that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how am I going to include versus exclude? Because my background, as far as my actual degree, that not only am I getting, but I have previous versions of it, is in the technology part. But see, when I added this component of the CRT, it's like, oh man, I got to figure out how I'm going to include or exclude based on that. And that's the part that's been tough for me. Because again, you know, my chair just said, oh, go and do it. You got it. You the expert.
Yeah. And so when they're saying implement it, so I can like make sure this is clear, you're going to do it in two places. So when you go, not now, brain, when you go to give them the final dissertation, you're going to update that definition of how you're defining CRT. Because it's not only is it going to be informed most likely from the district, but now it's also going to be informed by the data. So that's why you want to wait, because you're going to have to rewrite it again. So for the purposes of IRB, when they ask you who are the participants, like what's your criteria, your selection criteria, that's where you're going to put all those things we just listed, because those are the boundaries of the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. You just
You're
answered
welcome.
some questions that I was spinning my wheels on in the past 2 days. Thank you.
So we're just going to follow the checklist of IRB. We're going to download the forms and update your contact information in the form and your selection criteria in the form, because IRB is like, use what we gave you. Don't be changing nothing. You're going to, whatever your recruitment materials, you're going to give them that. You're going to give them your protocols and whatever else they're asking, but do a sheet, like just be like, okay, I'm just going to fill in every box I need to. I'm just going to have something for every question, and you're going to hit submit by the 17th. So that you give them an opportunity as a committee to review it, and then they're going to give you the edits or like the questions. The questions, most of the time, IRB they assign you to one person. So even though it's going to be after the 17th, when you go back to address their questions or their edits, you're going to give it back to that one person, and that one person is deciding if it meets their requirements for you to get the green light to collect data. This is when you know this. You just hit the easy button, let it be shitty, let them tell you what you're missing. And this is how you can get approved before June is over. So keep that in the back of your mind, Ashley, and whomever else has to do IRB.
Okay. I hear.
Mm-hmm. Kristen did the same thing. I'm talking about they only had 3 things they wanted questions about. Yes, because IRB doesn't care in the way you think they do. They don't want to get sued. They don't care. You know, your philosophy, right? Of CRT and why you doing it. They don't care. They just want to know, are you doing things ethically and legally? Okay, we don't want to call the lawyers. Don't embarrass us. That's it. That's all they care about. They might look at you and be like, that analysis don't make sense, but it ain't my business. I don't care. It ain't my study. I just want to make sure we're not getting sued. That's what IRB is there for. All right. See who else. So then Kristen, since you just joined us, you two are in the crew with Chris and Ashley, and that you're going to have an entire dissertation by August 1. Okay, you want to flip out on me now or later? You let me know.
I mean, probably later. I don't think you're wrong. It's just we're gonna say a prayer on these participants.
We don't need to. We don't need to say a prayer. Everybody know who you are.
Uh-huh.
Tell me how that's not true.
I think people in Houston know where I am, but not everybody that knows me in Houston meets the inclusion criteria for the study.
Okay, so what's the inclusion criteria?
That you have to be a person that is responsible for the oversight and or implementation of a farmer's market in a community. And your farmer's market has to be focused on addressing low food access in a community. Houston got a lot of farmers markets, and a lot of this is like, let's hang out and swap granny squares.
So how do I know that I meet those criteria?
What do you mean?
Why my granny square is not good enough?
Because that has nothing to do with food. That's a crochet square.
Oh, okay. But it's a farmer's market.
That's nice. Not what I'm looking for here.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for farmers markets that are specific to addressing food insecurity / low food access.
So as long as I sell cookies, does that count?
Well, I don't care about the vendors. I care about the market itself.
Right. So if I say that I do, right, I support this initiative. We only have cookies though. They got fruit in it.
Ew. No,
Tell me more.
because that has nothing to do with food insecurity. I
Hey.
need somebody to say that we're doing this for food insecurity.
Okay, so everybody, I'm just going to pause. Everybody, you understand the language you trying to do in research. You know who don't, your participants. They just got farmers markets in this example, or they're just teaching technology. They like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing was culturally relevant. I just was trying to make it more fun for the kids. So you got to be able to explain it to them like a third grader, what you mean. How do I know if I meet your criteria? I might not know the language of food insecurity, even if I do have a farmer's market. I know that might seem wild, Kristen, but humor me. What if I don't use those words? How would I know? And I might meet your criteria. What are some other ways that I would know?
I would argue that most folks have some public healthy related language in their mission statement that are more focused on like food insecurity. So like when we had ours, we didn't use food insecurity, but we did have some more, public health fluffy like language that spoke to we are trying to solve a societal problem, not just hang out on the first and third Saturday.
Okay, so what is some of that language? Now, I want to name for you, Kristen, and for anybody else who's trying to do this for their own study. You want to fight me right now, okay? It's frustrating that I'm asking these questions because for you, it's like, it's so obvious. I want to tell y'all it is not obvious for the people. I'm going to give you a business example. In 2018 and 2019, I was out here on this Instagram streets like, I will help you write your proposal in 90 or like in a year or 90 days. I'm going to help you write your proposal. And people would come to me and they'd be like, yeah, but I just need to do the literature review. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to help you write the proposal. And they're like, I don't need help with the proposal. I need help with the literature review. You know what I had to say? I'm going to help you with your literature review. My brain was like, isn't it the same thing? Ain't a literature review included in a proposal? But people they need to hear what they know. Now, I could sit up here and fight the air all day long about proposal and the literature review being the same, or if I want to help people and I want to sign clients, I'm going to use the word literature review. Translating that into research, you may use words like food insecurity. I may have just started a farmer's market because I was tired of the kids in my neighborhood being hungry, and I just thought we could come together as neighbors and help them get something to eat so they don't go to school hungry. But I may not use the words food insecurity. And because this is it's a formal thing, it's coming from the big university, and you a whole doctor, I'm already intimidated to raise my hand to say I'm gonna participate. And now you're using words that I don't know. I don't think I'm smart enough or qualified to be in your study, even though I'm the exact person you're looking for. Okay, tell me what your brain is doing. Yeah, I love a good Pisces crash out. So I feel like it's loading.
Not a full crash out. I think after seeing like R&B come back with like 3 minor things, I was like, okay, this train is actually moving faster than my timeline. Because usually I'll be slow as hell on most of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with the language, because I was like, I think we used to have something in ours around like hunger or like limited access to something or something around those lines. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it annoying? Yes, but that's a feeling, not a fact.
Yeah. And so I was just, for your recruitment efforts especially, I would just give people some examples of how they would know if their farmers market meets your criteria.
Okay, that's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair.
Because y'all would be surprised. Like, people are really intimidated. They don't want to mess up your research. And when you think about the community you're working with, they definitely don't want to be the reason why you don't become a doctor. Because they don't have enough, like, context to know what's involved in the process. They just know it's something that's a really big deal and it's important. And they want to make sure you get what you need from credible people. And most of the time, we just don't think of ourselves as credible enough. Yeah. Because I can imagine, Ashley, that there are some teachers who are like, listen, I'm just trying to make sure they can type, okay, on this thing. They can speak in complete sentences. Okay, that they not just on the blocks all day. I don't even know what secondary students do. Okay, I might be way out. But they're like, I just want them to pay attention. Okay. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm just trying to make sense.
But it's true. And my chair actually had not necessarily a debate, but we talked about this. We talked about not putting off the ones who just don't know the terminology, but they actually do the job. And so, like, on my flyer, I actually put like some things that you would do. I said, hey, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Because I was like, in a way, that's me defining what CRT is. One of my committee members too, we had suggested putting the definition. I told her, I said, okay, I'll put that as I'll add that to the flyer. But I just don't want them to read it and then say, oh, that's not me, just because they can't really translate it to what it might look like in their classroom. So I don't know. I'm trying to put myself, not the self that will go looking up stuff, but the self that I'm tired and thinking about my colleagues who say, hey, I don't know, I just want to read just these little bullet points because she gonna offer this money and I could use that. That could be some good like a lunch, maybe a sandwich, because inflation.
Yeah.
That's good enough. But they might look at it and say, hey, I can do that. But I don't know if I'm the right person for the study. And I feel you, because me and my chair have had this exact same conversation that you're even telling Kristen right now. So I'm trying to figure out, and I want to do this before I submit it to the IRB, even though my chair says that it's easier to amend an IRB application versus submit it for the initial time. She said, just get it in. But again, like, her version of get it in, and then like even with the defense, when I had my presentation, she told me that it needed to be within 10 to 15 minutes. And then we did a run through, and she came back and she said, oh, you were within the time frame, but let me show you an example. And excuse me, but I'm about to curse on this one. Well, you said our version of cursing is different, but I was like, what the hell? I said, this is the version. It's the first example she showed me. I don't know what this dude was thinking. It ended up being like 60 slides, I think. And then the second one she showed me ended up being about 30 something. And then I was like, you told me I was supposed to put together a 15-minute or less presentation. This shit that you showing me, and we got this in how long? When I'm telling you, I was doing my presentation all the way up until I'm literally looking at the screen. All of my committee members are like on the screen, and they're like, hey, Ashley. And I'm sitting here trying to put that last minute, word on the slide. And I just said, it is what it is. I ain't even got thank you for buying nothing. I said, we gonna have to do it.
And you passed. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? It's going back to those 3 steps, right? Decide the starting point, do the shitty version, and get the feedback. Because y'all, the reason why I tell you that is most people cannot clearly articulate what they expect from you. And I know, you know what blows my mind? Most of us are in education programs, and you would think, of all people, you know how to communicate your expectations because you write rubrics all day long. Nope. No. Right. So she, in her mind, was like thinking she's being clear by telling you to do a 10 and 15-minute presentation. You do exactly what she told you to do. And now she's like, no, I didn't mean that. I mean this. When you show up and do shitty work, like, and you do the bare minimum, you force people to be clear about their expectations instead of you doing the mental gymnastics trying to figure out what they mean, when what you come up with still most likely is not going to be what they meant. So we're just going to turn something in and let them be clear about what they want. And then you can work on what they are actually asking you to do, and you move faster and you exceed expectations because now you're clear on what they want you to do. Right. It's what you have to do is manage your own emotions around why they couldn't tell me that in the first place, because people can't. I wish they could. They can't.
Hey, and then the other layer to it, and this is for anybody out there that you are not the person to ask questions or insinuate yourself with your chair. But it's like I even had to ask her, hey, should I be putting together a presentation or something? Or you want me to just show up? You keep saying it's gonna be a conversation. And then she said, oh yeah, it'd be good for you to put some slides together. Like, why you didn't tell me that? And then so I ended up coming to her, all the way when we were doing the run through, because I was like, you could have told me this shit beforehand. And then, I was happy, because my father had just died too.
Yeah.
And I was like, my time was so precious at that time because I was doing funeral arrangements and everything was happening around that time. So I'm like, you couldn't just tell me this shit beforehand. You had to wait till now when I have only this slither of time to work on this. I could have done something a long time ago. And so it's just, I felt so rushed. I mean, we've already established that, I needed that time to marinate on it because that's just in my personality. That's just my nature. And I was just so pissed. I was so pissed, about that because I felt like I couldn't give my best, my version of my best. I don't give a damn that it had to be shitty. I wanted to give my best, and she didn't allow me that time to give the best that I could. And I get it, I passed, but it's like I still feel so unsure about some of the things that I want to go into doing, which is why I think doing this IRB is kind of a struggle because it's like I hadn't had time to marinate on, do I really want to do it this way or crap? Because even right now, I need to go back and modify some of my teacher protocol questions because I was just thinking, I was like, I didn't even ask the why, and that's actually answering my research question. So it's just that, I mean, I'm glad that I have a chair where she'll allow me to have that moment where I tell her, hey, could you do this better or improve this, so that I can be the student that I need to be or the candidate that I need to be. So
that's real. First, I want to say that is real. And I'm going to say I'm very proud of you for allowing yourself to go there and be pissed about it. Right? Because you know what you need. And it wasn't like you didn't ask. It wasn't like you wasn't meeting with her regularly. But what's important here, not the but, and what's important is now you know who she is and how she shows up, right? Not her as a person, but how she shows up. So that will help you to plan for the future. But see, before I even get to the future, I want y'all to hear something. Her chair didn't do this from a malicious place. It wasn't like she was trying to sabotage. Just sounds like a bit absent-minded and not considerate of like, or probably didn't have the space to think about all the things you were going through and how that was impacting you. When your chairs look at you as the Beyonce, they think like, oh, it's obvious, but it's not. And so when you do show up and you say, here's my first run through, which is the shitty draft of it, you give them an opportunity and you do that early enough, it forces them to be like, oh, that's not quite what I meant. I meant for you to do this. And now you have time and energy to like do what they actually wanted you to do. Well, versus if you hoard your writing and your work and you wait until the end when now they're trying to rush you, now you're being like dragged into their energy and being rushed and trying to do things instead of you could have just gave the shitty draft and you would have had more time for yourself, right? So let me be clear, Ashley. I'm not blaming you. I'm walking you through why I pushed to like do the thing.
No, you're right. You're right about that because I did come to her in January when we first had. No, I think you even said it in December when we first had that conversation about how, hey, your topic, you might want to go on and get the move on with that. And I brought it up to her, and she said, "Well, he ain't thinking about us. He ain't thinking about you. He ain't thinking about me." And then the end of January, we had another meeting. And then I was going into that hiding stage because, she's one of those types of people that, hey, I don't have time, but really, I really want to talk to you. But no, I don't have time, but I really want to talk to you. And so I kind of went and hid. And then I come back, and then you don't have your department meeting or whatever it is that you had, and now you all scared because they're talking about, oh, you can tell your doc students to go and get archival, data and stuff. And she was like, oh hell no, I ain't gonna have my students going back and rewriting their first 3 chapters. And she said that's not gonna happen. So then she gets in this call with me saying that, oh, well, I need you to go on and get your proposal in right now. Like, what? Like, right now? Like, you haven't even seen it. And then I thought to myself, I said, now that part is my fault because I didn't give her anything to look at. I didn't give her anything to give me feedback on.
Wait, let me pause you because if I hear you right, let me pause you, Ashley, because if I'm hearing you right, the reason why she was rushing you wasn't because you were hiding. She was rushing because she was feeling pressure from her department to get her students to do archival based research. And because she didn't want to deal with that, she was rushing you or putting pressure on you to turn in your proposal. But it had nothing to do with, right, how you're saying you were hiding. That's an important distinction.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to see that it was her. It's her emotions, her experience, whatever pressure she was experiencing from her leadership or whomever gave that directive, that it had nothing to do with you, even though it impacted you.
It did. It really did.
That's important, y'all, because a lot of times, so let me use me. One of the biggest reasons why my chair was like, oh, you need to do this in 2.5 months. It's when she was experiencing pressure to produce a doc student or a doctor, like who finished the process. Being one of the youngest faculty members of the program, they were like, okay, you've been here going on your 4th year. You need to have a student who graduates. So she went to her 2 students who were also in their 4th year of the program. She was like, y'all got to do this by May. I was planning a whole nother year. She was like, no, you got to do it by May. I did in the moment make it mean that, oh, it's because it's been 8 months and I haven't written. That's why she's forcing me. No, the real tea is she getting pressure. And it's coming down. What's the saying? Shit right down the hill. Yes, it's coming down. Like, but it's not, I'm being a student. You're being a student. Another way to say that is like you actually wouldn't hold one of your students responsible for not meeting an expectation that you didn't articulate to them. Like you wouldn't go in a classroom and be like mad at them.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent here. What happens, especially when we have we have closer relationships with our advisors and our chairs, the lines get blurred. And they stop seeing you as a student and they see you as a colleague. And they're like, yeah, of course, They forget the student part. So you showing up and communicating with them every week and being like, hey, what's this? What's this? And even when they say, you don't have to worry about it. No, I am worried about it, though. What do I need to do? I'm trying to help you push back on them because in their mind, they're forgetting that you are doing this for the first time, and you pushing back on them is reminding them, I'm doing this for the first time. I need you to articulate. Right. But I want to stop you in the middle of you talking because I want to disrupt the story of like, it was my fault. If I wasn't hiding, then this would have never happened. No, it was going to happen because it had nothing to do with your hiding. It had everything to do with the pressure she's feeling. Why that's also important because now we fast forward to June, right? And you're like, I just want to sit and I want to make sure that I understand so I can avoid that ever happening again. When it didn't happen because of you not sitting there long enough, it happened because she didn't articulate. Do you see the distinction here?
Yes. I mean, that's why I got several questions to ask her in
Yeah.
this meeting because it's like I don't know when I'm gonna get another opportunity. And then I'm gonna use the word pissed off again.
Mhm.
And because she even asked me like recently, like, hey, is it okay if I share your proposal with my other advisee? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, oh, you want to show her this when she's coming into this process, but I didn't get anything. Like I had to walk into this process blind, and that's just.
Mhm.
And sometimes you feel like, well, is it personal? Is it because I'm the black woman? Is it because of that? Like, why is it that this white chick don't get the example? I had to ask after several times, what am I supposed to do? How is it supposed to look? I mean, like this girl gets a foot up, at the beginning
Yeah.
of this process. And I had to bump along the whole damn time.
What if it's as simple, Ashley? What if it's as simple as I'm gonna say it in this way: your chair needs help with being a better advisor. But if it's not necessarily about race as much as it's about she just didn't have the skills, and then now you through your hard work and sacrifice provided her a very clear example of what a good proposal is and how to articulate what she was feeling but couldn't put into words. And so now she's going to not only use it with this student but every other student that comes. Now we can go before we talk about if you say yes or not. But as you said, I sound like who?
You sound like my mother because she said she was like she basically tested out everything on you and she figured it out.
Yeah. What if it's that simple?
I hate being the guinea kid.
I want you to see though, like, look how brilliant you are. You figured this out all by yourself.
I feel like that's why she got us doing this plan and this agenda because I'm the one that always showed up with my agenda.
Oh, now we get into the magic though. Wait for it though. Y'all, this is important. I hope y'all are picking up on this. This is the magic. You're doing her job for her. Sit with that. You're doing her job for her. How am I supposed to tell you as the faculty, as the chair, that I don't know what I'm doing? Because how would I know what I'm doing? You don't get a class on how to advise students. You just get hired for a faculty role. Somebody tells you, oh, here's your load of advisees. Figure out how to get them to the end. Nobody tells you how to do it. They don't sit you down. There's no professional development of like, this is the basics of how to advise a doc student. And so you just repeat most likely what your experience was as a doc student. You just try to do the same thing with the student who comes along. And then if you're lucky, you get a very brilliant student who is process oriented because they have to figure it out, and they show up and they do such beautiful work that you're like, yes, I want every student to do it this way. So I'm going to use you as the example. I'm saying it's not necessarily malicious. The intent isn't necessarily malicious, even if the impact is. You still get to decide if you want that, if you agree for your work to be used. You could say no, like no, because I can get that help. I don't want to get people to help. You get to say no. Now she probably still will give a copy because technically the university owns it. But you could still say no. This is important, y'all, because this shows up not only in your chair, your advisor relationship, it's showing up at your job, it's showing up with other people, right? You're thinking they're just trying to give you extra work because they're out to get you. No, they don't know what they're doing. and you're giving them a system to use. They're profiting off of your brilliance. Whether they mean to do it in an exploitative way or not, it doesn't change the impact. We can recognize different intents and still recognize that the impact is still the same. And I'm pissed about it. Okay, tell me what's going on in your brain.
In mine,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of what you just said. So, I mean, I'm coming down off of it. I'm starting to take up time for everybody.
Oh no, you just rescued some people. You don't even know. You did.
I mean, I was getting my feelings right there at that moment, but that's just how I felt, about what was going on, So,
Yeah. For me, I get really passionate about it because one of the at my dissertation work, this was one of the main findings. This kept happening over and over. Right. And I was focusing on Black women, but this kept happening over and over. But it keeps happening because no one's talking about it because it's right. I'm sure there's some level of you is I don't want to call it out too bad. She's another Black woman. I'm not trying to do that. I'm pissed though. But this is how the harm perpetuates because, we want to protect, but we also want to be like, girl, be better. But I understand why you got so much pressure on you, right? It's complicated. It's not as cut and dry, but I still want you to give yourself space to be like, yeah, this some fuck shit, but all right. This is what I'm going to do. To recognize that you still have agency. You can still get to decide what you do and what you don't do. So when I tell you to show up, here's another thing about when I tell you to show up with a bare minimum plan, because you peep game, you're like, oh girl, you're not using my labor to help the other people. If you're peeping game, you're like, you're going to do your job. You would show up to this meeting with the most basic plan. How I said, in June, I'm going to do IRB. In July, I'm going to do data collection and analysis, and I'm going to give you a draft in August. And when she say, how you going to do it? I don't know, but I'm going to get it. That's what I'm going to do. What do you suggest I do? Then you start playing the role. What do you suggest? How you suggest I devise this plan? You make them do their job. Even though you probably already have a detailed plan of how you're going to do it. That's when you flip the table, right? If you want to. Now, part of you might be like, why should I have to go through all of that? Why can't people just be right? Well, we can be here all night having that conversation. And I want you to consider, Ashley, what if she can't answer those questions that you have? Because you've already asked her and she didn't give you an answer.
I believe that. I definitely believe it. Because sometimes when I do ask her a question, well, go ask, your methodology. Or go ask the Black woman that you chose to be on your committee. She don't say it like that, but I'm talking about the second part. She say the real part of methodology, but she don't say it, go ask the Black woman, but that's what she means. Go ask the Black woman that's on your committee.
So Ashley, I want you tonight, tomorrow, pray about it. Truly sit with, what if she can't help you with the content in the research area? What if her main role is helping you as a motivator, as a cheerleader? I really want you to pray about it and sit with it. Because if you keep doing this pattern of you trying to ask her a question that she can't answer, that's just taking more time and energy from you. Most of your chair can't help you with the content and the research. But because you see them as, well, they're the all-knowing, they got to give me the yay or nay. There's many ways to get a yay or a nay. That don't mean they got to help you with the content or the research part. Most of you are spending your meetings with your committee teaching them. You're doing it from the frame of, I'm trying to show them and prove to them that I know enough, that I know what I'm doing. when what's happening in reality is you're teaching them stuff that they didn't know. And then you're looking to them for validation, but they can't give you validation because you know more than them. You're asking them to give you help, and they're like, I mean, I'm still at the 101 level that you just taught me. Right, Chris? You still over there trying to explain the basics of gender and sexuality, and you over here like, okay, because we move past that and talk about community. They're like, yeah, gender and sexuality. The letters. They still lost in the letters.
They didn't know what else. That was the biggest and hardest lesson to really sit with, is that when you kept saying it, and I think that's a lot about what I think about things that you have said to us in these meetings or just over time, and being in Qual Scholars, is so much stuff that you said makes sense now, and you'd be like, oh, that's what Dr. Lacey was talking about. But no, there isn't a person to really help you on this in my committee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they know pieces and parts. Like one person knows CTDA and one person knows interviews, but my advisor, she's children lit in books, so this isn't what she does at all.
Yeah.
And then I can identify with what Ashley is saying, because I joined their writing group, and when I think about like the people that are in there that are already writing with her on projects and going to conferences, and they have yet to take their field exam, just where they will be versus where I was, light years in just the experience, because that was the experience that I really wanted to have with my other two advisors. So, and not because it was them, but I was thinking that, you're in grad school, you got advisors, these people are so this, they can help me, they can, but also realizing that they don't always know what they're doing. And in my current advisor, I'm the first person that she's ever really advised, and the first person that she's gotten through a qual exam and this step, but really it was me, because it was me that created this committee.
I would like to thank me.
So when you said that we been doing their job, I was doing my job. I created the committee because I was going out meeting people and asking, hey, can you help me, and put it together. So it's like when I look at the help that she provided, some constructive help.
Yay! Put this period here. Yeah, do this formatting over here.
And the second person, he was just being unhelpful. And only to learn, he didn't even want a co-chair. When she asked him, hey, you want a co-chair with me? We can do it together. And then when she told me that, when I'm turning in documents, I was like, but why was they causing? Too late to worry about that.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward.
Because they can't
see with why they're like, I know you want to write, get this done, but I want you to sit with this. I don't know what they want me to sit with this.
Okay. Now we go into the next part. And I know y'all like, we way after 9 o'clock, but this is the good part, okay? When you sit back and you realize, what if I am more knowledgeable in terms, especially with content and like research, like what if I am more knowledgeable? Then you like, oh, so they can't help me. Then you also I want you to think about what was their experience like. Because here's the hard part. Some of y'all ain't gonna be able to sit with. Y'all gonna want to fight me for real. Your chair, your committee most likely have the attitude of, well, you have it easier than I do. And you over here complaining. You didn't have my chair. You didn't have my program. Because most of them had to do some battles that you don't have to do, and they're like, you're benefiting from what I had to struggle through. That's some people's committees, faculty experience. Other faculty experiences, they probably were the golden child of their program, and everybody showed up and helped them. Okay, especially the more privilege they have, and I mean privilege across the spectrum, the more privilege they have, probably the more people were like, and do this and do that and do this. One of my favorite questions to ask you all is like, how much help do you think your committee is giving you? Do you think it's a lot of help? Like, how would you quantify it? And I ask it because many of you will say, well, they're already holding my hand. I don't want to ask for more. And I want you to know that your help that they're giving you is more like a 1 or 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. Because there are a lot of people every day, they're either emailing their chair, calling their chair, being like, how do I do this? What do I do? Their chair is giving them articles. Their chair is like, write this in this section. Move this over here. They're going step by step, paragraph by paragraph, telling them exactly what to do and how to do it. And that is why they're getting done fast. But you're comparing yourself to that level of support when you're over here making up the process for yourself, figuring it out, and then having to execute. We're talking about apples and oranges. But if you don't consider that that could possibly be the case, you don't notice that. And then say something to go back to something you said, Chris, when I say your chair might be jealous of you, that goes to committee members too. Of course, I'm not going to show up and say I'm jealous. I'm going to show up and be like, Chris, that's not critical enough. You're not implementing that theory right. Show me your sources. Give me more sources. No, give me sources from this journal. Now you're going back and forth about something they don't even, like, why are we talking about this? Because I'm just trying to be disruptive. Because I'm mad that you know more than I do and you're further along than I was and you don't even have half of the help I had.
Yeah, and then you're fighting them, like you said, because of them knowing more and you're doing something. Because in the prelim, Dr. Brock brought up, why wasn't I analyzing the comments? And I had already talked to him because when I was in those meetings with them trying to tell them I wanted to do the comments, it was just too much pushback. And I need to graduate. I can't. I was going back and forth. But he could argue with them because he's equal and higher. I don't have that ability. So I was like, you do it because I don't have time. I agree with you that, analyzing publicly, accessible comments is important. But I said initially when I talked to them, I was thinking about comments in the private groups, but that's not really ethical because it's private. But if it's on Instagram or anybody can go to that page, that's different than a private group. And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, oh, okay, well, you argue with them. And so then they're like, we're going to revisit that and we'll talk about it. But yeah, you should do that. And I'm thinking, I was fighting for 3 months.
When that happens, let it go to the proposal defense. Let the committee fight it out. Be like, I'll do what you do. And then I'm probably, if I'm getting to information overload, let me know, we can cut this. But if you are going back and forth with your chair and y'all can't see eye to eye about how you should do something, do what they're telling you to do to get to the proposal defense. When you get inside the proposal defense, it's supposed to be a two-way conversation, meaning it's you and your committee together talking about what is the best course of action for this research. And that's when you can add in a little razzle dazzle. This did come up. Do you think I should? What y'all think about that? And then you let them talk amongst themselves. And then whatever comes out on the other side, there you go. But that does require your brain to get out of, but that's going to be extra work later. Stop thinking about the extra work. You can do that in a matter of seconds and minutes. Stop trying to save yourself extra work, because it's creating more work when you do that. Okay. I know y'all are still here. Let me know what's going on. For those of you who are quiet, I just want tell me a sentence in the chat. So just tell me what's going through your brain. Okay, Danielle.
As I've been listening to this conversation and reflecting back on my own experience, I just hear this question in my head of saying, how do you know when they are at that stage where they're fighting you because they're jealous of you, or they're fighting you because you have thought of a process that's challenging where they're at and causing them to check themselves in a way that they're not used to being confronted with? And what the difference is between that and whether they're challenging an idea of yours that needs some working through. And it took me a little while to come to the point where I was realizing that my committee was doing more of that kind of stuff as opposed to engaging in a thought exercise with me. And I think what got me to the other side in realizing that was recognizing that when they were giving me feedback, it wasn't feedback that I could take action on. It was feedback that was very vague, or well, you're supposed to know that, or combative in a way. And what helped me kind of realize that that was the feedback was listening to the words and writing them down, and also recording it and playing it back later so that I could understand, because my emotions were too high when I was in that room with them. So I could not do the emotional regulation and processing of the feedback that was constructive at the same time. So I would write down what they said and repeat back what they said to the point where they heard what they said. And then if they were actually giving me feedback they wanted me to take action on, then they would rephrase it and change it so that they would give me feedback. But if they were just being petty, they would just give me the, like, I told you so kind of answer. And that was really a difference for me. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that would help somebody, or you want to build off of what I'm saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that level of detail. Because what I will add to that is why I'm asking you to communicate with them every week. When you have a written summary of, here's what I'm doing, here's what I understood of what you asked me to do, this is how I implemented it. When you come down 3 months later and they're like, I never told you that, then why didn't you ever say something every time I sent you an email every week? In the committee communication guide, right? Like it says, make sure you have an agenda for every meeting and make sure you record it or have Otter or something like that going. So in case they say, we never discussed that, you got receipts to say, actually we did, right? Going back to Chris' example, I'm trying to talk to you about this for 3 months, right? If Chris has the transcripts and the recordings, like, see, I did it here, 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 and you said X, Y, Z, right? You're dealing in facts, and you will start to recognize, to Danielle's point, your committee people in general are dealing in their how they feel, or like, I told you that. It's right here. Another example I'm thinking about that I talk about a lot, right? Like Erica, right? Like she was going draft for draft, and her chair was like, you need a table. No, take it out. You need a table. Take it out. And on the film, she was like, listen, let me point out all this feedback. You keep changing your mind. What is it? Y'all don't realize that because faculty have a lot going on, they too are humans. They don't always remember what they told you to do. They're not writing it down. They got more than you as a student, and they got classes and people in real life. They don't always remember, and they may have felt like they told you something, but unless there's a written record of it or a way to go back and say, this is what we talked about, it becomes like your word against their word. But when you have data that'll help you, to your point about like distinguishing between when it is like it's a credible thing I need to try to work on versus they're just being petty or this is emotional, it does come back. My favorite number is 3, so choose a number. I give people 3 times. I try to explain it to you. You said this. If it's something that I'm like, I don't feel like fighting about it, I'm just going to do it your way, I just do it. If it's something that's really contradicting or it's like bothering me, or I can't figure out how to implement it, that's when I pull out my receipts to be like, see, these were my 3 attempts of trying to incorporate, and clearly I don't understand. So can you sit down and help me understand it? And if they're telling you no, right, now you got a decision to make, because now you have tangible evidence to support that this is personal. So do I need to stay working with this person? Do I need to escalate this above me? Do I need to do something else? Because now you have like a track record to say like, no, this isn't just in my head. They trying to play with me. And I will say, like, it will take some work emotionally to sit with, this is supposed to be the people or the person who said they were going to help me, who were going to be here for me, and to sit with evidence in front of you of like, oh, that's not what they're doing. That's going to be much harder than how it sounds in the way I'm talking right now. And you may still choose not to like do something about it or like seek other services, but that can and often does slow people down in making their progress. Like, because Danielle point, like now I'm hiding every time I go talk to you. Now I'm stressed out about where this is going to end up. But at least you know it's not because it doesn't have anything to do with you being lazy or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It has everything to do with you're having an emotional response right now. And so what do you need to take care of yourself? There was plenty of private sessions with Danielle where it was just about strategy of like, okay, you got to go meet with your advisor. You have to go meet with your chair. Like, what do you need emotionally to not only get into this meeting, but to remember what's being said, remember what you did, and to take care of yourself afterwards so that you can continue to make the progress in your exam or in your dissertation. The only reason why we knew to get there, right? Because we started having evidence of like, okay, no, this is personal. So thank you, Danielle. I'm probably have to clip that and put it somewhere.
And to take the time to grieve that relationship that you wanted to have. Because for a long time, I was gaslighting myself into believing that what was happening with Dr. What's Her Name, since we're clipping this, wasn't real. Like I kept telling myself that wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me almost a year to be actually sitting with, no, this isn't working. And do you want to force this relationship that isn't working, or do you want to be doctor?
Mm-hmm. The same way we show up in like corporate America and jobs, the way y'all be quick to be like, let me write all this down. I want y'all to have the same energy with your faculty, especially with them, because nobody is teaching them how to advise and manage anything. Right? If we take it from a more compassionate, empathetic view, no one teaches them how to be an effective advisor. Like if we want to strip away any other stuff, they're not taught. And you only get that through experience of going through a few rounds of students before you're like, oh, this is how I want to go through it. How I usually try to I encourage people to go for a chair or committee members. They've been doing this for so long that they most likely are going to come to you and be like, here's my set of expectations. Here's what you can expect from me as a committee or as a chair. When y'all go after the people because y'all were friends or they came from the same program, and you're like, oh, they're younger or they do similar research, but they don't have a lot of experience. No shade to them people. Like we all got to learn. And do you need to be the one that they test their things out? Because what I've noticed in doing this for the past 8 years is that 9 times out of 10, that person's going to cause you the most trouble. Y'all thinking y'all buddy and friends, like, no, that's my homegirl. It's going to be good. That person is going to cause you the most trouble because they're going to have higher standards. They're going to be like, no, you got to get it out the mud. Like I got it out the mud. Like, but it's personal. And it's like, for my friends in Greek lettered organizations, when you go through, I'm going to use the PC word, when you go through the new member education process and you like, oh, I had it hard. I had to wake up at 5 o'clock to go to the Starbucks. They got to wake up at 5 and they going to have to wake up at 4:30. They're going to be paper. They got to prove it. Your faculty do the same thing. They haze you because they're like, I had it hard. You got to have it hard too. And something you were saying, Ashley, earlier, where you're like, so she going to get to come in and go faster than I did because she going to have more support. That's where you got to watch because you may end up being exactly like the people we're talking about right now. Right? Because you start to recognize that you're being hazed. If you're not careful, then when you get on the other side, you're going to do the same thing. Like that's how patterns continue. We're all just acting from our hurt and our frustrations. But hey,
that's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I accept that because that's kind of like how I feel because I got a lot of people now are reaching out to me because now they're coming into this stage or phase and they're like, hey, Ashley, what did you do for this? Or how did you handle this? And I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't get this support like this. I couldn't talk to nobody. I couldn't ask no questions. That's one of the reasons why I reached out to this community because I was like, well, damn it, if I can't get the support in my own program, my own department, I gotta go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because there are cohorts and think that this shit work. It doesn't work. Not when everybody else is going at different pace, so you just say, hey, let me just go on and find the community I can get what I need. And if I have to pay for it, I just have to pay for it. And so that was part of what I was saying, earlier this week.
Mhm.
You just have to do what you gotta do so you can get what you need.
And
So
you get to decide, do you want to help the people? You don't have to. I want to be clear. You don't have to help the people coming after you.
right.
You get to decide. Even if there's a part of your brain like, well, I should, well, you don't have to. There's plenty of people who decide not to.
Right. I mean, there's several times I don't help and I can't say anything.
Because here's the thing, that even if you try to warn them too, for those of you, because I used to try to warn people, I used to be like, I don't. They isn't this such a good experience? I'm like, y'all are in a different program that I was in. We got two different doctoral experience, even though we're in the same academic program, two different experience. You got more support than I did. So even when I say XYZ is going to happen, most people are like, think about when you're at a job and the new person gets hired and you try to warn them, you want to watch out for so and so. Right, they look at you like that was your experience. It ain't gonna be my experience. You also gotta let people go through it. Sometimes what they call it, canon events. You just gotta let them have it and be there to be and then decide: do I want to be there to help them pick up the pieces or not, or do I want to just keep minding my business? You get to decide. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so quit fighting me. And get out of here with a kid.
Is that what they say on the internet?
That is what they said. That could be up. No. But I just want to chime in on the letting yourself get the resources that you need. So many of us come from the backgrounds of needing to be the ones that carry the torch for people. And we forget sometimes that we also need to have somebody light our torch so that we can keep burning. And you said it before, Dr. Lacey. What happens to the light if we let ourselves get burned out? These faculty members are out here doing what they're doing because they need to get what they need to get, right? You said it earlier. Your chair needed you to graduate so that she could move on. They need us to move on so they can move on. So you eventually got to get to a point where you're saying you want me to get there, then you're gonna tell me what we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're just gonna do that, and you're gonna get what you need, so I'm gonna get what I need. And if I need you to be clear and I need you to say it 4 ways, you're gonna say it 4 ways, because that's how you get to be doctor. Is when you say, no, I need this.
Help me help you.
Exactly. Even if it's to get me out of here. You don't like me? Fine. Tell me what we need to do, because the only way I'm leaving is with these letters.
Right. So I'm either going to get on your nerves or you're going to tell me what to do. But either way, I'm graduating.
Because I'm not leaving here without my letters. Mm-hmm. That's where I eventually got to. And now look at me. They had to say, congratulations, Dr. McCardle.
And Dr. Dementor. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, girl. Thank you. Say it. I'm doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She had to show up in my defense and say that my dissertation did not apply or extend theory.
Because they will hate until the end. So y'all, this is listen, I'm gonna go because sir is he been fighting me underneath his desk. Thank y'all for staying longer, and this was a very important conversation. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you were able to take away something. At a minimum, I hope you were able to write while you were listening to us in the background. Okay, please go take showers and decompress. We talked about a lot.
I need to go take a shower. I've been sitting in these sweaty clothes.
Listen. Listen, that's the hardest part, trying to get yourself to take a shower. Now, here's what I do. Okay, y'all want to know my strategy?
I'm getting in the shower because I know I was at a it was like 80 degrees in that workout.
But even though sometimes, right, transitions are hard. They're hard, okay? Listen, what I've been doing, I'm like, I gotta find a TikTok that's about like 5 or 10 minutes long. And my it's a game. It's like, okay, but it can't be like a 60-second TikTok. It gotta be like 3 to like 5 minutes. And the game is, okay, every minute you take off an article of clothing. And if you're done with the clothing, because sometimes I'm be real transparent, we see it's late at night. Sometimes I'm just sitting on the bed with no clothes on. I'm still just trying to get into the shower. I'm just trying to walk into the bathroom because transitions are hard, right? So then I find a video and I'm like, all you have to do is like take a step every 30 seconds. Now, to some of y'all might be like, this is really ridiculous. You should just get in the shower. I'm glad that you don't have to struggle with transitions, but I do. Okay. And you just play the thing. And I have a like speaker in my bathroom that I just have to play so that when I'm in the shower, I'm like, I still get to listen. Right. I don't know if that'll work for you, but it just gamify getting into the shower for transitions.
No, I'm about to order my dinner, take my medicine, and by the time I'm done with all that, my food will be ringing at the doorbell.
See, we different because I would be in the door eating the food, being like, in that shower though. That shower is still, I gotta like talk to myself like a 2-year-old girl. You know what you get after the shower? I'd be like, popcorn. Like I have to give myself gifts and surprise. Like getting out the car, getting into the shower, getting out the bed in the morning. It's hard. It's hard. The only reason why I go outside and walk the dog is because he keeps being like, take me, take me. Otherwise, I would still be like, ooh. Okay. Thank y'all for the feedback. What is coming up this week? Our next call is Monday for planning. I think Camille is leading that call. That will be the next one. Next Thursday, Dr. Winston will be here for open coaching, and I will be back with y'all. I'll be with y'all on Wednesday. So let me know if you need anything in Circle. After tonight, drink some water because a lot of emotions came up. Go hug something or touch something with a heartbeat. Okay. If you don't live with someone, put on some music. Like do something to regulate as much as you can. And when I'm saying regulate, I'm asking yourself, this is another transition thing because we were having a heavy conversation, and to just jump into trying to go to sleep, you need to help your body transition. So do some music. If you got like a walking pad, for those of you on the West Coast, you could probably still go outside because it's still daylight and walk around, but do something to transition to the next part of your day. You're going to watch The Wire. I have so many questions, but I will ask you tomorrow. Okay, you got there. But yes, thank y'all. Let me know in Circle, and I will talk to y'all later. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Bye.